Hey all, welcome back to Themis and Thought. Grab your coffee, water, tea. Let me grab my tea. Whatever you're drinking, go and get that. I'm drinking Sarasi tea. Um, anyway, ni hao. Let me know. Drop a one if my mic is good. Um, I don't know if I should just continue or not, but I'm gonna continue. Um, All right, because it's saying my mic connection is unstable. Let me turn down the image quality and go to 7. Yeah, let's do 7. Hey everyone, welcome. Apario is a new member, Aporio. Thank you. 2 L's says, let me guess, Lecrae went to the parties to win souls for Christ. He was evangelizing, huh? Sodom and Gomorrah to... Look, so this is a two-parter. The first part is a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about. The second part is going to be about Lecrae, right? So I'm going to try to get everything that I want to say up front in the 1 hour and 30 minute mark. For 1 hour and 30 minutes, I should get everything out. And then after the 1 hour and 30 minute ish, then we'll get into Lecrae because he did a long video, and I didn't watch all of it. I skipped around, but there are a lot of parts that in truth, I probably watched 5 minutes of the video cumulatively. Um, I hope his name is Lecrae, girl, because if his name is not if his name is not Lecrae, girl, I've been mispronouncing it the entire time. He is supposed to be a gospel artist, a gospel rapper, turn sort of music exec. So if his name is not Lecrae, I thought he was super popular and everyone knew who he was. So you're telling me that I wrote his name in my thumbnail and on the title for no reason. You're telling me that the YouTube algorithm is not going to algorithm. You're telling me that the YouTube algorithm is not going to algorithm. You're telling me y'all don't know who this man is who had a #1 album. I don't believe y'all. Someone bought that album. All right, people. 2L says I trust 2L's that I'm pronouncing it correctly. Not who this. All right. If y'all are not Christian like me, then I understand why you would know who he was. But we're going to get into it yet. So grab your coffee, water, tea, whatever you're drinking, go and get it. We have a lot to get into. All right. I'm gonna start with Lizzo. because I don't like people playing with my face. You can play on the Game Boy, you can play on the PlayStation, you can go outside and play in the playground, but do not play in my face. Because one of the things that I'm not about to sit here and do is have you playing in my face. So Lizzo came out, and I find this really annoying because I actually read this a very different way than most people, and um, I thought she might have needed help. I thought this was not okay. So she says, "I'm getting tired of putting up with being dragged by everyone in my life and on the internet. All I want is to make music and make people happy and help the world be a little better than how I found it. But I'm starting to feel like the world doesn't want me in it. I'm constantly up against lies being told about me for clout and views, being the butt of the joke every single time because of how I look, my character being picked apart by people who don't know me and disrespecting my name. I didn't sign up for this ish. I quit. 1 second. All right. So Sin said I pronounced the word right too. Thank you, Sin. Oh, Sin is here. Let me know if you need the link. Oh, period. Let me agree. Sin might be joining y'all. I'm excited. Look at me, giddy. Um, I'm sending out the link to Sin. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry. Sending out the link, and being awkward because I don't like awkward silence. So awkward silence it is not going to be because I am sending. Why is this taking forever to load? That is so annoying. All right. All right. So Lizzo is very annoying to me. And here's why I think Lizzo is annoying. I think Lizzo is annoying because, on the one hand, it's really frustrating to watch someone come up here, talk about how they're going to quit, and then sit there talking about some. Let me tell you what she said before I do this. Look, this is what she said. Please let me know. By the way, this is Sin's Patreon, by the way, just having that up there. While she's sitting up here, right, and she's saying that she quit, I didn't sign up for this, I quit. What exactly do y'all think she quit? Please let me know what exactly do you think she said she quit? Because I think Lizzo think that we're idiots. Let's play this.
What I'm not going to quit is the joy of my life, which is making music, which is connecting to people, because I know I'm not alone. Want to make this video because I just need to clarify. When I say I quit, I mean I quit giving any negative energy attention. What I'm not going to quit is the joy of my life, which is making music, which is connecting to people, because I know I'm not alone. In no way, shape, or form am I the only person who is experiencing that negative voice that seems to be louder than the positive. If I can just give one person the inspiration or motivation to stand up for themselves and say they quit letting negative people win, negative comments win, then I've done even more than I could have hoped for. With that being said, I'm going to keep moving forward.
Now, here's the thing. I didn't even care about this post like that because I was like, if she quits music, I don't really like. I would care. Oh, by the way, someone pointed this out. Oh, she is beautiful. Oh, the face card is never declining. That face card did not decline. Like she is a beautiful woman. Like I think she's beautiful, and I don't want to hear anyone's opinion on that. That's my opinion. It is what it is. I think she's beautiful. I'm not here to talk about her beauty. It doesn't matter to me. When you post up here talking about I quit, and people are rightfully concerned that you are saying you're tired of being here, it doesn't look like anyone wants you here. Um, and then you come out and say, oh, April Fools, ha ha ha. Like it's an April Fool's joke. But the way that read didn't read like a joke. You say people are making fun of you because of your body. And I think that's true. But while you're getting a bunch of backlash, right? While you're getting a bunch of backlash because you have your dancers over in the red light district eating banana from you know what. That's the problem. When you are fat shaming people, that's the problem. When your brand is literally body positivity, and then you come up here and you try to pretend like we are the ones who completely misunderstood everything and we're just dragging you. No, we're not just dragging you. There are reasons why people are mad at you. And if you're going to come up here and apologize and do that, don't sit there and say, oh, people are dragging me because of how I look. No, people turned against you. The people who were dragging you were dragging you. But the people who are currently dragging you, who were your fans, who liked your music, they're upset because you are seemingly, allegedly, a hypocrite. That's why people are dragging you. And so when you come out here and you say, "Oh my God, they don't like me because of this, and they don't like," no, you're ignoring the reality. You're ignoring the reality. And yes, you wanted to scare us into thinking you're going to quit music, but like, I, I don't think people like care that much generally. And the funny thing is, she tried to get her case dismissed, and the judge said, absolutely not. We have enough evidence for at least some of these claims, the hostile work environment you created, to go to trial. So see you in trial, right? So I can understand how that could be overwhelming, and you have to fight that. But that's what you pay your attorneys for. Separately, if you come out with a good project, I promise you, if the project is good enough, we've seen it happen before, a bunch of people will forget. Because in truth, while I don't think there should be the measuring stick, because we're going to get to Amanda Seals in a minute, while I don't think there should be the measuring stick for who gets forgiveness, I do think it's important to consider Lizzo doesn't seem to be the worst person in the music industry, right? And there is a lot of grace for a lot of people. And I'm not saying we should use that to forgive her, but I do think we should contextualize much of what is happening with Lizzo. Did she think these were her friends, even though they were her employees? Can there be a kind of wall around employees so that the employer, in this case Lizzo, does not overstep ever again? Like, there's a lot of ways in which we could give her a second chance if we so choose. But before I even consider anything about listening to your music or caring about what you're doing, I need to see contrition. I don't see that contrition. It seems like you are just up there doing what you want to do when you want to do it, and then come up here and cry and talk about, oh, people are mad at you for how you look, when no one said that. Absolutely, absolutely no one said that. All right. So Lisa out of the way, because I don't like people playing in my face. Actually, instead of making a commercial break, let's just do it right now. Let's get all the foolishness out of the way. Nina Leaks.
For cheating.
Nina Leaks put this foolishness out. And I hate when people do this. y'all play too much. Yeah, but someone changed their screen name to Puff Daddy, and they said somebody said party. This is a mess. Y'all dead wrong for it. All right. So this is what low self-esteem looks like, in my opinion. I don't know if this is low self-esteem, but this is what low self-esteem look like to me. I could be wrong. I'm not saying she has it. I'm saying from my perspective, this is Nina Leaks came out and said, if you are a side piece chick out here, I think you need to love yourself just a little bit more. Me, I am number one or no number at all. So what she is saying, and she's going to go on to explain this verbally, is that I am okay with my man cheating as long as he makes me feel or makes me number one. So it feels like you're the one who should get some self-esteem and leave. If you, because of your spot as number one, is okay with your man, quote unquote, cheating, and she calls it cheating respectfully, if you are like, I am number one and I'm okay with him doing whatever he does, it sounds like you are the one who need to love yourself a little bit more. Like, this is a wild statement, but not to be sort of misinterpreted. Nini explained what she meant by this foolishness. So let's hear this.
Could deal with that.
You can.
I might, yeah, because see, look, if I'm here in Georgia and you went to San Francisco for the, I'm saying any city. I'm saying if he went to New York for the weekend.
Okay, go ahead.
What you don't know
Won't hurt you.
it won't hurt you. However, if you're going to cheat, you need to do it with respect. Now
Yes.
you do need. I don't like people who are not respectful. So these are the ones that aren't respectful.
Yes.
They're talking to the side piece and lying to them. First of all, you already lied to whoever this is on the side. So if you're gonna be respectful, you.
Hey, son. How you gonna come in? You're muted, by the way. How you gonna come in when Nene Leak giving a spell on cheating respectfully? You're muted. All right, Sin is muted. Let me know. You can just talk when you're off mute.
You tell that person, you give me 50 feet on my woman. Don't ever approach me when you see me with my woman.
So that's the rule.
Number one, you can never approach. I couldn't imagine somebody approaching me. It would just be like, what?
Who are
Now, respectful cheating.
you?
What is happening?
Who sent you to me?
What are you doing right now?
Yes.
So, yeah, I do agree that there have to be respectful cheating. Is that what you call it?
It's called respectful cheating. It's when your side piece doesn't call my phone saying, put my man on the phone, B. And it's like, well, dang, girl.
Or posting on your social media.
Yeah, or when the side piece posts the arm of the man with his tattoos so you could see the year he was born and the year of his daughter. So that you can identify that, yeah, girl, this is my man too. That's disrespectful cheating. Keep your side pieces in check.
That's true. Keep your side piece in check. Yeah. Well, if your man had a side piece, I mean, has he ever had a side piece?
My man?
Yeah.
Although he's African, he has never had a side piece.
What is happening?
How do you cheat with respect? You do not. There is no such thing.
Hey, Venus.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Thank you for letting me up. Listen, I saw this come across the Instagram feed when I was playing in Dust. And Evelyn Lozada said this publicly on Basketball Wives. A lot of women, I've seen them on podcasts say the same thing or some variation of it. And I think it's essentially a combination of two things. One, it's the woman's way of justifying the fact that she's going to tolerate cheating. And number two, it's a way for women to acquiesce to the degeneracy of men. And this is yet another reason why I say there's something that's not right with the way that women think. Because there is no respectful way to cheat. Even if you don't know that he's cheating, he's still compromising your health. Like, why are they ruling out diseases? You're sitting here worried about if some side chick is on your phone or in her place, or whether you know that he's cheating, when you should be worried about the fact that he's bringing back diseases. And I think this is perhaps one of the reasons why married Black women have the highest rates of STDs, because of this right here, this mentality saying that it's okay for him to cheat.
So initially, that's my thought completely. And you my analysis is kind of sprinkled in there. When you said it is dangerous, I think it is more dangerous for him to quote, because what they call respectful cheating is that they don't know about it, right? I feel like that is so much more disrespectful. If you don't know, you can't protect yourself.
But you're gonna know when you walk up into the clinic, because you having burning of peeing. You burn when you pee, or you got an itch down there, or you got like the fish market smell. You're gonna find out some way. So this is just, women give me a headache sometimes. They, especially Black women, like it just gives me a headache. Release him back to the streets, please, if he's cheating.
Look at this. I don't know if you saw this initially. If you're a side piece chick out here, I think you need to love yourself just a little bit more. Me, I'm I am number one or no number at all. So she's willing to be a number as long as it's one. So she's going to be on the roster. She's fine with that. And she thinks other women are the ones who need to get some self love, not her.
Yeah, this is the whole I don't care what he does as long as he comes home to me logic that a lot of black women have as well. And I'm not saying that white women don't have this mentality. We know all groups of women get cheated on, but I feel like this is something that we've continuously heard black women promoting, the fact that as long as they're number one, which implies that he possibly got two, three, four, five, six, and seven out there, God only knows how many, then they want to come down on the side chick. Listen, the side chick is not making an emotional investment in this man. You are. You're the one who are tied up into this man. You potentially married him. You're potentially sharing money, or in the case of black married women, being his provider. So you have more stock into this man than the side chick. You're getting the lies. You're getting cheated on. You're getting the diseases. Your pH levels is off. Not saying that hers isn't, but you're making an investment in this man. He's supposed to be loyal to you. It's literally just like these women talking about, oh, these baby mamas versus the wife. Okay, well, you're the wife who invested everything into this man only to get the same outcome as the baby mama. So who's really the dumbest one? The one that's dumber is the one making the investment in the man versus the one who's not. And y'all both got the same outcome. Like, this is silly logic.
I mean, I agree with you. Vision, welcome to the membership. There was some questions, I think. Oh, how far I fall skipping class working. No, Magnet, go to class. Thank you. You've been for 10 months. Welcome, Sin. Welcome, Sin. Thanks for joining and playing in dust. I think this is what it's like.
Yes, I'm always on Instagram playing in dust.
I think with your live stream yesterday, I really enjoyed it, by the way.
Yeah, it was. Right now I'm just editing them some content. There was 4 things that I talked about. I tried to squeeze them into like a 30-minute video. So I'm trying to edit them right now. Y'all, my volume is not turned all the way up. For some reason, if you join on your phone, it's louder than if you join on a computer. I don't know why, but I'm just on my phone.
Is my volume low? Everyone in the chat, can you drop a 1 if my volume is low? I think I can turn it up more, but I don't know. Hey, Sin, thank you for joining us in TMS. Oh, yes, I actually love my sweater. I said maroon, actually. All right, they say it's good. Y'all sound great. All right, good. I have a question for you. Do you know who Amanda Seales is?
I do.
Do you have opinions on Amanda Seales? I do have opinion on Amanda Seales, but I wanted to know if you had opinion on Amanda Seales.
I don't really have that much of an opinion on Amanda Seales. I don't really see her as problematic. I know she comments on whatever she wants to comment on. I will say that she self-aggrandizes a little bit too much. Like, whenever she gets criticism, it's never because she's doing anything wrong. From what I'm hearing, is because she's too good, or she's too smart, or she's just too something better than everybody else to be accepted in her superior state. So I will say I know that she does that a lot, but otherwise I don't really have a problem with her in particular. I do like the way she will defend herself. I do.
All right. So I've been on a binge of hers because I said some things about my views on her and I got a lot of pushback. So I actually kind of like her. She is very this might be a problem, but she's very in your face. But I wanted to go through, because I do think she is mostly, hey, Monique, I think she is mostly wrong in this situation, right? So she's getting canceled in Hollywood, I guess, because they say she's hard to work with and she's mean. And I understand where it's coming from, but I also don't know if it is a matter of she's a woman with an opinion and they wouldn't do it to a man, or if she's in fact like a difficult person to work with. So I wanted to go through some stuff and get an opinion, and I'm glad you're here to get it. But what do you think before I go on?
I think I think it's what you said. She's a woman with an opinion and she won't back down and she's unapologetic about what she is opinionated on. And I think it's one of the reasons why, because wasn't she like one of the replacements on The Real?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think she was a little too real for The Real.
Yeah. Yeah. And she talked about how they tried to censor her and she was not with it. And that's why she left.
Yeah, she's not politically correct. She's not going to sugarcoat her words. And I think that whenever you are a woman who is unapologetic, you're straightforward, I think you get demonized and criticized and you get called a number of different names. Like, I mean, I'm waiting for them to call her bitter and mad that she can't get a black man. I'm waiting for them to say that about her.
Well, that was out. So she accused a footballer turned neurosurgeon of misconduct. But I wanted to get there because then she retracted it. And so people have hated her ever since. This was like 5 years ago. And it's now coming back up in conversations about her. So actually, let me play some of this, and then let's see. I want to get your opinion on this. So let's play it. Miss Wise, thank you. All right.
Hey, what is up and back to lying on a man that she accused of sexually harassing both her and multiple other women? This is far from the first time she's dug herself into a deep hole, but this situation is 1000% worse than anything she's ever been caught doing. Amanda accused ex-NFL player turned neurosurgeon Myron Rolle of being problematic with her over the phone, which she talked about both on her own platforms and on The Breakfast Club, later going on to say that without her saying any names, a bunch of other women came forward to tell her that Rolle was a sexual predator, citing a time that Rolle allegedly answered the door to his house naked before a date.
I really don't take it lightly what I'm about to say. Because when you name names, you put not only that person out there, but you also put yourself out there. But I feel as a woman who makes it my business to be a warrior for the truth, that it needs to be said. I, on my podcast, and on The Breakfast Club, spoke about an individual who had approached me on the internet and who we spoke on the phone, and that they said some troubling things in the conversation that made me take a step back. And that also, with literally like no investigation, it was brought to my attention that he had sexually harassed a woman by opening the door when she came to meet him for a date, butt naked, and then telling her that she was the one who was overreacting, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I heard that one story and was just like, whoa, that's crazy. When I spoke about him on my podcast and on the Breakfast Club, I didn't say his name. I literally just said a couple like characteristics about him. And it has been shocking and incredibly discomforting to me how many women, 8 as of tonight, that have come forward to say his name. They knew exactly who he was, to say his name, and that he had been incredibly problematic and, behaved in a very sexual predatory way with them that some have said could have gotten him fired. So I say all that to say, if you are approached by Myron Rolle, you should just be mindful. I don't have empirical proof, but I've had enough women come forward saying that he was incredibly inappropriate with them, that I feel it would be inappropriate of me to not put the word out there that there is a man that is not being okay with women.
Myron was forced to...
All right.
Was that her supposedly backtracking?
No. That was her talking about it initially.
Okay.
So that was her talking about it initially. She would then go on The Breakfast Club later and said she never accused him. She never accused him of anything. She was just relaying information that was told to her, and it never happened to her. Nothing happened to her. It was just her telling what other women said about this man. I find this highly inappropriate. I find it highly, highly inappropriate what she did. No woman, by the way, came out to verify anything or said they told her anything.
Mm-mm.
And he said that he spoke to Amanda once. Amanda indicated or there was supposed to be some kind of date or trying to get into some kind of relationship, and he didn't want that. In some ways it sounds like he wanted to, whatever, but she is like no, and then she went public, essentially, with saying other women said this about him.
Yeah, from what I recall, because I think I talked about this, I think this story came out like some years ago. I think I did talk about it, and from what I recall, she did make an overt accusation of like sexual inappropriateness towards him. So,
Yes.
I mean, ultimately, I don't like it when somebody. I just believe that you should stand on what you say. Stand on
Yes.
what you say. Either say that you made a mistake and that's not what you meant, or stand by what you say. And I think that she's just one of those people who can't really stand on what they say. I think maybe the criticism towards her was a little too harsh. If it was me, I would just say I said what I said. And that's how I felt at the time. And even if the way that I feel now changes, at the time, I felt like he was engaging in some sexual inappropriate behavior, period.
Yes. It so from my perspective, it felt not only like she didn't just want to say he was inappropriate with her. She wanted like a public attack on him by evoking other women, but I don't know how true. So I don't know if she's telling the truth, but I don't know if any other women came
She's
to her.
not telling the truth. In her initial statement against him, she didn't say that this was just something that women were levying against him. She said that he had done something inappropriate directly to her. So she is lying in that video that you just saw. If she's saying she's just regurgitating what she heard from other women, she is lying.
All right, that's what she said on the Breakfast Club, and I can't play the Breakfast Club because copyright. But I will post the Breakfast Club not meeting, but interview, so everyone can go look at it if they so choose. There's one more thing on Amanda Seales that I wanted to get your opinion on, and she was kicked out of a Hollywood party a while ago, right? And she came on her podcast and she explained why she thought it was wrong. And I don't know if you and I will disagree here, but I disagree with her. In what the person, I think it was Vanessa, who was Issa Rae's publicist, right? Or someone on Issa Rae's team who threw the party. And that person, Vanessa, does not like Amanda Seales, and Amanda Seales does not like this woman. So she was not invited. She showed up to the party and then was kicked out of the party, and she was upset about that. So I'm going to play what you said, and this is her telling the story, and I still think she's wrong. But let me know what your thoughts are, and then maybe we have a disagreement, because I think this is wild. I think her take on this is wild.
Okay.
So a year ago, Issa Rae's publicist, Vanessa Anderson of AMPR, and some other people, they started doing a Black Emmy party. So it's basically like to celebrate like Black Hollywood and, just give us a space to come and celebrate after we do the hobnob at like the HBO party, the Comedy Central party, et cetera, et cetera. So when I arrived at the party last year, I came with Jill Scott, and of course, I work with Issa. So Vanessa is somebody who I have absolutely met before, like when I have my web series on Issa's channel on YouTube, and I have interacted with her, on a few occasions, but she has never been nice to me ever. Like she's always had a certain curtness, and she's always seemed to be bothered simply by just my demeanor, my way of communicating with her, etc. And at a certain point, it just became, well, then this is just not somebody I need to speak to, because I don't work for her and she doesn't work for me. And, there's no reason for us to even interact for all intents and purposes. So we don't, I say hello to her, if I see her, but there's not going to be any back and forth exchange. We are not friends. So last year when I got to the party, I showed up with Jill Scott. And when I came with Jill, she said, oh, let me have my manager go to the front, just to make everything smoother. So her manager went to the front and Vanessa was at the front, and her manager pointed back towards us. And when I was there, I looked at Vanessa and just kind of surreptitiously pointed toward Jill, look who I'm, with, because there was a bunch of people outside too. And she just exclaimed, Amanda, nobody has time for this right now. I do not have time for this. And it was what's happening? So everybody looked around because I hadn't said anything. So it was very weird. It was just out the blue that this person was having such a visceral reaction. So I just was I don't know what's going on. And so Jill's manager was what the hell was that about? He was come on. So we just like went in the party and that was that. And I went in the party.
So please remember, this is an important fact. Vanessa is the one hosting these parties. And she went the year before the incident. She was allowed in the party, but Vanessa didn't want her there. They're not friends. And so Vanessa is throwing the same kind of pre-Emmy party again. And this is what happened this time around. All right, this is coming now.
And, I told Issa, I was like, hey, your publicist, she's just not being nice. She's just nasty. And I don't even need her to be kind. I don't need her kindness, but just have a certain layer of civility with me, And Issa was like, yeah, I mean, that's just between y'all, because it's her party. So it's not really like my jurisdiction to tell her how to treat you at her party. Okay. So I left it at that. This year, Jesse Williams had invited me to the party. And anyone who knows me knows I don't even like none of this party, but I love a celebration of Blackness. And so when I was at the HBO party, I was telling everybody about this party. We have somewhere where we can go celebrate after this. So I'm telling Niecy Nash and I'm telling Sherry Shepherd and, just everybody I'm running into. Kendrick, who's also on Insecure. Who else? Brescia Webb, Gabrielle Dennis, just spreading the word. So me and Kendrick get to the party alongside my friend Kiki, who is not in the industry. When we get to the party, the girl at the door asks for Kendrick's name and he has a +1. So I'm his +1. And then she asks for Kiki's name. And Kiki's telling her name and she just writes it in her phone and is like, okay. So we're about to walk in. And then a white woman who has a clipboard who had not been at the rope but was in the front area, all of a sudden turns around and points at me and says, no, she cannot go in. She's not on the list. So then Elijah Kelly comes out and Elijah Kelly is like, yo, why are you out here? And I'm like, because they're not letting me in. And at this point, I've already Instagrammed the fact that a white woman is at the door preventing me from getting into the Black Emmy party. But, what is going on? And now I'm starting to get irritated by it because I'm like, this is just foolish. I'm clearly being targeted here and I don't know why. So what ends up happening is Elijah's like, you know what? They're not going to kick me out of the party. So come on in. So he welcomes me in. And as I'm coming in, the white girl is like, her name is Kiera. She's like, she cannot go in. She cannot go in. And I was like, girl, stop. And I just wave her off and I kept walking. So I walk in and I go to the bar. Kiki goes to the bathroom. By the time Kiki has come back from the bathroom, a security guard is talking to me. And a security guard says to me, hello, miss. We have been asked to escort you out. I've been asked to escort you out. I'm like, well, who asked you to escort me out? And he said, let me find out. So he gets on his phone and he says, Vanessa. I said, well, then you need to find Vanessa. Because I need to speak to Vanessa and I need to find out from Vanessa why I'm being escorted out. Apparently no one could find Vanessa. So Elijah comes over and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, they're escorting me out. So now he's trying to find Vanessa. Jay August comes over and is like, what's going on? I said, they're escorting me out. He's like, let me go find Vanessa because I was sitting at the Insecure table. So there's a table for Insecure that apparently Natasha is at and Yvonne is at and Kendrick is at, but I'm not being allowed into the party because I'm not on the list. So there's a table for the show that I am an actual series regular and a star of, but I am not allowed into the party. So much so that a security guard has now been dispatched to escort me out of the party. And I'm like, I'm not leaving nowhere until y'all tell me why I'm being escorted out. We don't have to tell you anything. I said, Vanessa is apparently the reason why I'm being asked to leave. And I need to understand why that is. No, you don't. You need to get out now or I'm calling the cops. So now I have a security guard, another security guard, a third security guard, and a Black general manager of Avenue, a club here in Hollywood, telling me that if I don't leave a party for Black Hollywood, that I am going to have the cops called on me. And this is all because of one Black woman named Vanessa Anderson at the AMPR group, whom I have never done anything to. So I'm like, you know what? I'm out. Because now I'm also seeing people see this happen and they're doing nothing. It was all about, we need to get Amanda Seales out of here now. And this guy, this general manager, I point at him and I say, you're f***ed up for this. And when I do that, his other security guard, this white guy, gets between us and pushes up against me. And it takes everything, I'm not even exaggerating. It took every single ounce of my strength to not retaliate against that. And it was the nice security guard who was literally in my ear, like, you don't have to do this. We don't have to do this tonight. If I saw a Black woman calmly sitting at the bar, who I know is a part of this environment, being harassed by security guards, there is no way in hell I'm letting that go down without making a ruckus. And for the record, nobody made a ruckus for me. Nobody. And the amount of ruckus that I make for everybody was really like an eye-opening and very honestly, like delayed. I had a very delayed emotional reaction to the reality of like, y'all just not me. We just not the same. We're not the same. And I may be in this Hollywood shit, but I ain't y'all. It was humiliating. And I was then escorted out, and the security guard, who had been kind the whole time, he said, "I'm sorry for doing that, but we have to do our jobs." And I said, I don't typically do this. But I want you to...
This is important to me. This right here, this last statement, and then it's done, is important to me. I
write down my name, because when you look me up, you're going to realize how ridiculous it was that you were asked to remove me from this event. Because there's no foundation for me to have been removed, especially in this fashion, from this event. In the wake of this, I have talked about it on my Instagram. And I've had some people say things to me like, "You're just being childish. She didn't want you at the party, so you shouldn't have been at the party. You shouldn't have any problem with her wanting you not to be at the party. Like, it's her prerogative." And the reason why I'm telling this story within the context of side effects of professionalism is for a number of reasons. One, this party was not at her house. This was a Hollywood party for Black entertainers
that she was hosting
and contributors to Hollywood. I am a part of that industry and should be here celebrating with my community.
All right. So that's it. That's essentially it. Telling someone to write your name down and look you up, and they will be surprised and feel bad that they removed you, is nasty work.
That's what I'm saying. This is her self-aggrandizement that she engages in. Obviously, she was wrong. I don't think that Hollywood parties, whether they're for Black Hollywood elite or white Hollywood people, are free for all. Hold on. For some reason, my throat wanted to itch right when I started talking. But I'm pretty sure that most of these parties are by invite only. So why are you just showing up to a party that you were not invited to by a woman who's hosting it that you said is not your friend, and then essentially starting drama when you get to the party and then wondering why you're getting kicked out? It's just like, girl, please go have a seat. Like, she's obviously wrong. Obviously.
Yeah, but adding at the end that she told someone to write her name down and look her up because they're going to feel bad they removed her. It's wild. Like, that someone said, I won't put your comment.
Is Amanda Seales even considered A-list? Because it's like, I hope you are actually A-list if you telling people to write your name down and then they're going to feel bad about kicking you out the party. It's like, it's given I'm not on that level, but I really want to be on that level, so I'm just going to fake it till I make it. It's like, you're not one of those people where you can just name drop and then your name speaks for itself. Like, Amanda thinks she's way too big for her britches, and it's like, you're not. Like, you could have left that part about just go look you up. It's like, girl, you tell that to a common everyday person, not people who are being the security at a celebrity event. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So I've watched so many videos of hers because I was going to do a video on this, but I decided not to. I just hide it in these long streams. But I do like her voice, like what she, I don't know if it's pretend or whatever, when she's on her podcast talking about like issues, which we'll get to in a moment, not her, but we'll move on from her. I don't dislike her coverage necessarily. It's just, it is a very kind of condescending. I find her to be condescending, not to me, but like Jen. I feel like if she doesn't believe you're on her level, she's going to talk down to you. And that's kind of how, even when she spoke to DJ Envy, which I really appreciated, she said, "What kind of question is that? I'm not answering that. Next question." And I was like, you are up there at the Breakfast Club to dispel notions about you being mean and disrespectful and hard to work with. You opened the interview by saying, "Ask me anything. I'm open book. Don't let this be easy." And then when DJ Envy asked you, "Hey, are you still on Insecure?" you say, "That's a dumb question. I'm not going to answer that question. Next question." Which, by the way, I love to see it because DJ Envy needs to be dragged, but also it highlights something about how you approach me.
Yeah, Amanda Seales is one of those elitists without the elite status that's what it kind of gives to me. It's like you think that you're more famous and more popular than you really are. I just feel like she's not in a position to really throw her name around, because the reality is we mostly only know her from Insecure. You have not had any like huge budget projects. You're either a political commentator who frequents the Breakfast Club, or you were on Insecure. That is like the gist of her resume. What else was she in? You weren't even on the reel for more than like 5 minutes. So it's like, why are you running around acting like you have so much clout and so much status when you don't? Like, I don't like people who like think they're way bigger than they are. I just feel like you should always be humble. I really do.
I do
Because
think
your fall could come any day, any second. 1 minute you could be on, and the next minute you could just be irrelevant. So I don't know.
so.
It's just weird.
I waited for this comment to get lost at the top before I responded to it, and I won't put it on the screen, but I did take it. It says, yes, babe, you're not welcome in this black party. Welcome to being light skinned. And I don't think this has anything to do with her skin tone, like at all.
Yeah, if anything, her skin tone would be to her advantage, especially around at a black party, because we already know black celebrities are colorist too. So I don't think it has anything to do with her skin tone at all. Like nothing. I think it's the fact that she's sitting here putting herself on a level that she just isn't on at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was responding to the comment, but I didn't want the person to be dragged or anything. So I kind of I saved it, but I'm not putting it on the screen. All right. So let's move from the mess. I wanted to start all the mess and put it out there first, and then get into some issues. When you hear colorblind approach to race, what do you think of generally?
I think it's stupid. Like, you can't have a colorblind approach to race in a society that judges you based on your color and determines your race based on your color. So I just think people who say that are stupid. People who claim to be colorblind, whoever have colorblind approaches, I just think they're dumb people.
All right, because I agree with you. And right now we're going to go to Coleman Hughes. And when I just started on YouTube, I sincerely disliked this person, sincerely disliked him. I have grown to have an appreciation for him now, and I realize I wasn't wrong necessarily. We disagree, but I thought he was a grifter, and I think I might have been wrong in thinking that he was a grifter. So I will admit that openly. Like, I thought I disagree with him. I stand by everything I said, but I don't think he's a grifter anymore. However, let's hear him, because he wrote a book and he went on The View. I don't know how much of this I can play, but we'll see. Stop me at any point, by the way, and we can go back and forth on this, because I've actually wanted to talk to you about this, but I keep forgetting it. So here's a great opportunity.
Ask you to do is explain to folks what you mean by this. Arguments for a colorblind America. What do you mean when you say that?
So a lot of people equate colorblindness to I don't see race or to pretending not to see race. I think that's a big mistake. We all see race, right? And we're all capable of being racially biased, so we should all be self-aware to that possibility. My argument is not for that. My argument is that we should try our very best to treat people without regard to race, both in our personal lives and our public policy.
Of course.
And the reason I wrote this book, thank you. The reason I wrote this book is because in the past 10 years,
everyone is asking who I'm talking about. This is Coleman Hughes. I cannot put the video on the screen because of copyright reason, even though fair use, but just so you all know. What he just articulated, I think, is what, well, let me explain. He said that he argues for a colorblind approach to race. That is, we should treat people how we treat them because of how they show up, what they do, their merit, and not by their skin tone, right? So the contents of their character, not their skin tone. That is his advocacy, and that's what he wants. this is a way he removes responsibility from what he's actually asking for. Because I don't think anyone with common sense would disagree that people should be treated. Keyword here is should be treated based on merit, right? And not their skin tone. I feel like this is something that we can broadly agree with, that people should be treated not based on their skin tone, but how well they show up, what they do, whatever, right?
Right,
Sorry.
and this is a black man, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I feel like we hear about this whole color blind society mostly from black men, which is really not surprising. But I mean, it is what it is. I'll let you continue with the video.
All right. So the way I feel like they should question him right now is very different from what they do. Because what he just argued, like, I don't think anyone will say it's not a place for you to argue what he just did. He compiled and then compressed his theory into a very specific thing. We should not judge people based on the color of their skin. I feel like that's aspirational, and that's something that we should all get behind as a general matter. But here's what Whoopi gonna do.
Years, it has become very popular to, in the name of anti-racism, teach a kind of philosophy to our children and in general that says your race is everything, right? And I think that is the wrong way to fight racism, and that's why I wrote this book at this time.
Also, this is another way he reframed his argument. He said there's a way in school, we all know what he's talking about here, that we're telling kids that their race is everything. You push back on this by saying, no, it's not everything. However, it is something that is considered when you go out into the world, and we cannot ignore race. So if you're saying you are aspirational in the colorblind approach that you want the world to take, I can agree with you that that is aspirational and we should get there and we should want that. But as it stands currently, we are not there yet. So to pretend like we are there would be crippling to Black kids by telling them, oh, your race doesn't matter and no one cares about your race. I don't think CTR is saying all that matters is your race. It is a straw manning of the argument, and the women on The View just kind of accepted it. I think you wanted to respond.
Yeah, I mean, this is a foolish argument anyway, because the issue isn't that people are not colorblind and that they see people's colors. You can, if you observe children, like small children, they know that there's a difference in color between people, but they don't know that there's a negative association with it that is supposed to be met with a negative behavior until they are taught to. So rather than trying to control whether somebody sees the race, you should be combating the fact that people are teaching their children to have a negative association with your skin tone differences and thus treat you differently based on the negative associations that they're making. And I think this is the problem with him.
But that would indicate, and I agree with you, but he would then have to hold racist white people accountable. That is accountability on racist people's on the forefront of racist people's mind that he's not about to do. So instead, he's blaming Black folks for not, or he's blaming people, let's not say Black folks, he's blaming people for pointing out that there are some people who are racist and there is a system that is against, like, Black women, for example, but people who are Black. And instead of pointing that out, he's saying, let's just not see race at all.
But that's not even possible to do, though. Like, you can't tell people to not see race. The only colorblind people are the people who have visual issues, like with their eyes. Like, I went to like a CBD store the other day. So like, I went to the CBD store the other day, and the guy said he was like colorblind. He had an actual visual problem. So aside from that, you're not going to convince people to not see what they see. Like they're gonna see it. Like, this is just stupid.
All right,
This is dumb.
What we just did was take one, his aspiration, which no one should be fighting against, and the way he's talking about the implementation, and we separated them and analyzed them as two separate ideas. While we agree with you on this front, we are not there yet. We're not, we can say, oh, we can see color, but we should act on it. We are right. I agree. That should happen. But currently, there are people who are disenfranchised because of color. And because of that reality, we can sit here and say, oh, just ignore it. And we should stop teaching kids that all that matters is their color. No one is teaching anyone that. No one is teaching kids that that matters is their color. Right? So that is wild. And I feel like this is the kind of analysis that should have happened on this show. Here's what Whoopi is going to respond to this man.
I'm sorry, baby. Yeah. Can I just point out that there is a reason for that? You know, when I went to school,
there is a reason why we teach kids that all that matters is race. You have to first reject the premise. You can't just, because he said we can't teach kids that all that matters is race. That is a straw manning of the left's argument. If you accept this, that is wild. You have to push back on the premise and then reframe a question around it. You can explain why we teach kids that all that matters is race. No one teach their kids that. Not even racist people teach their kids that all that matters is their whiteness.
Right. And that's why I'm saying that he's stupid to even write this book, because he doesn't understand what the core issue is. Number one, the issue is not that people are seeing color. And number two, nobody's teaching their kid that the only thing that matters is their race. Now, if he would have said that they're teaching, that white people are specifically teaching their children that racial power is what matters most, then that will be different, because he's essentially mad at the fact that there's a power differential based on race. That's what's being taught. They're not teaching them that your whiteness is just the most important thing. They're teaching them that because you are white, then you need to have a certain attitude so that you can maintain power over people who are not white. This dude shouldn't even be like, you don't even know what the issue is. This is an overly sensitive man who's reacting to his trauma based on whatever systemic oppression he feels like he's getting based off being Black, but he doesn't understand what the real core issue is.
Yeah. And he is, quote, independent. And the way in which, like, he is analyzing that, because, like, even if it is aspirational, no, that you want a colorblind world, one could argue that CRT is the way to get us there. I'm not saying it is, by the way. I'm just saying no one is teaching anyone what you say they're teaching. And what you just said, Finn, is for me what the book should be arguing, right? Not that he's arguing that we should forget CRT. No, you probably should be telling racist white people to not be racist, to not think they're better and more privileged than other people because of the color of their skin. That's probably who you should be aiming at. But instead, you're aiming at Black people and telling us that we should not be essentially racist towards white people, and that CRT is racist and it's backwards. That's what he's arguing. By the way, I'm not saying to defend or not defend CRT. I'm just saying his approach misses the point, and he walks circles around the ladies on The View, unfortunately, because they just keep accepting his premise. So let's hear Whoopi tell us why we need to teach kids that all that matters is race, because that's what Whoopi is responding to right now, which is wild.
Getting any information about anyone's race was not taught. No history, there was no Black history. None of those things were taught. And here in America, 100 years ago when I was a young woman, that's how people saw you. That's how they judged you. So I think I don't want to say it's your youth, but I think you have a point, but I think you have to also take into consideration what people have lived through in order to understand why there has been such a pointing of very specific racial things, like women couldn't get into colleges. If you are a Black person, there are a lot of colleges wouldn't accept you. Trying to equal the playing field. I think that's what a lot of folks have been trying to do. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I think that's your experience, and that's valid. You know, as a counterpoint, when I was in 5th grade, we all watched Roots together.
Yeah.
In public school.
Yeah.
So these are different experiences. I think it's also different generations. It's different parts of the country, right? We have very different cultures all living together in one country. So I'm not going to deny that. But I view this notion of a colorblind society similar to the idea of a peaceful society, which is to say it's an ideal, it's a North Star. And the point is not that we're ever going to get there. We're not going to touch it, but we have to know when we're going forward and when we're going backwards. And we're going backwards when we're doing woke kindergarten in San Francisco, you know, with you didn't hear about this story?
No, but
wait, because I want to get to the part of the book. You believe that public policies that address socioeconomic differences would be better.
All right. This is the important question on socioeconomic policies and what they should do, because he does not believe in reparations at all. And he thinks that we should divide people along socioeconomic grounds as opposed to racial grounds, and that economic policies should be aimed at poverty and not based on race. And I have a kind of mental exercise that we can do to address this, because this is wild to me. That I feel like it sucks when I hear people on The View or people who are doing these kind of interview not engage at all with what is being said, because they're not engaging with him at all.
So he essentially wants a classist system, not a racist system, basically, right?
Yeah, well, he wants us to address class instead of race because he thinks race. He doesn't say this, but race is irrelevant. But what he's gonna say is race should be irrelevant. Even if we addressed class, wouldn't that leave Black men in the same position as if we were dealing with race, though? Yes. I think what he's saying though is, in an effort to address class, we would get the people who are poor better access without regard for race. I think this is ridiculous, because the people who are poor, who are Black, aren't just poor randomly. There are economic policies that have...
Right, you would have to address race anyway.
Yeah, and so to ignore it feels wild, but I'll let him say it and then we'll come back and talk. And I do actually, it's not an exercise, but it's something that I've seen done, and like it explains it very well in my book. But let's hear and then get back into the discussion, because actually I can't believe we are like in full agreement. I like that though, because I don't think I've ever spoken to you about economic policies around race.
Benefiting disadvantaged groups, and that race-based policies often hurt the very people they're trying to help. What are some examples of policies that would be better at reducing racial disparities?
So my overall argument is that class, socioeconomics, is a better proxy for disadvantage. We all want to help the disadvantaged, and the question is, how do we identify them, right? The default right now in a lot of areas of policy is to use Black and Hispanic identity as a proxy for disadvantage. And my argument is that you actually get a better picture of who needs help by looking at socioeconomics and income. That picks out people in a more accurate way. Right?
So that is his explanation. Who is disadvantaged? This is a wild take to me. This is like bizarre. If you have a classroom, right, and there are 10 rows of seats back to front, 10 rows of seats. There's a trash can at the front. You cannot tell me that, because, let me explain. The people at the front, all the way to the 10th row, can crush up a piece of paper, right? This is the test. They all can crush up a piece of paper and throw it in the trash can. If you make it into the trash can, you get a bunch of points. These points are your socioeconomic standing. The more piece of papers you can crush up and throw in the trash can, the more money you have, right? The more access you have, resource you have, right? Because someone is at the front row, these are white people in American history. Because they're in the front row and they crush a piece of paper and they throw it, it does not mean all of them at the front row closest to the trash can are going to be able to make it in the trash can. Similarly, because there are people in the 10th row and some of them can't even see the trash can, because they're at the back doesn't mean all of them are going to fail. This does not mean there isn't a disadvantage between the people at the front and the people at the back. It just means that the people at the back are exceptionally good at doing whatever the task is, crushing up the paper and throwing it in the trash can. It does, however, mean they were still disadvantaged. So if you then take that entire classroom after, I don't know, 100 years of them doing that and make it into a circle, put the trash can in the middle of the circle and say, everyone now can crush up as many paper you want and throw it in. We're all equal distance. And also for the past 100 years, all of the money and wealth and resource that you have accumulated, you can keep, you can even use it to help you to elevate your chair so you can throw it in the trash can. You are not going to tell me there is not a distinct disadvantage for the people who are now in that circle and that they aren't farther behind the people who were already at the front to get 100 years of throwing trash in the trash can and making a ton of money. It is wild to me that you think we should disregard the very thing that was used to disadvantage a bunch of people to get to a colorblind approach. That is wild to me. For me, that is wildly outrageous. You can say, oh, after all this time, we're just going to ignore race completely, and now we're not going to give anything back. This is why I'm very much pro-reparation. You can't just say, okay, compete, and we expect you to be exactly at the level of everyone else. That is ridiculous to me. And you already have the resources that you've accumulated for years. And for the people who never had resources, who were white, who were poor, unfortunately, you were in a system designed for you when Black people could not engage. So you had the luxury of accumulating wealth if you so decided to. I think it's unfortunate, and I think we should tackle poverty, but to ignore how race was a specific indicator of exclusion is wild. Sorry, that's my full take.
Well, the thing is, I think that his mentality is one of the reasons why Black men have failed to really elevate themselves, because it seems like even when they attempt to, they do it in a manner to where it's very passive aggressive and kind of avoidant, because what he's essentially trying to do is avoid, like you said, addressing the issue that is going to require them to confront white men specifically. That's what he's doing. Because if you just switch it and say, okay, let's not talk about racism anymore, we need to be in a colorblind system, and be in a colorblind system and just base it off of class and address class, then it'll be better essentially for the people who are being racially disenfranchised. Then you are ignoring the fact of, just like you said, that the reason that Black people are in a disenfranchised economic class is due largely to racism. So there's no way you could actually deal with classism for Black people and elevate them without first addressing racism. This is like a cowardly attempt to kind of go in the backdoor way and say, I'm going to try to find a different way outside of confronting the real issue, which is white male dominance, white male racism, which is essentially the competition over wealth and resources. I'm just going to say we should focus on the money issue, which is going to lead back to the same problem. And this is why Black men can't elevate. They won't elevate unless they get the balls enough to confront the real issue, which is that there is a power structure that is ran by a different group of men who are dominating them. And that's all I see this as, is a man trying to take a cowardly attempt to address an issue when he's going to end up back at square one anyway, which is racism.
Yeah, I mean, I think this summarizes all of it. I don't think we need to go on him, because I feel like you just... So I don't disagree. So, like, thus far in your explanation, I feel like we fully agree on everything here, and so
Oh,
there's
I was
nothing.
gonna say unless he thinks that black people are in an economically disenfranchised, or black and Hispanic and whoever's in the economic underclass, unless his mindset is in there, is that they're in that position because of something they're doing or not doing that is wrong rather than any systemic issue, which it
Perfect.
sounds like that's what he thinks.
That's the question they should have asked. That's the. I am so sorry. I just yelled. That's the question. It felt like there is no. Sunny is an attorney, and I feel like these women are intelligent. And I know a lot of people don't like Whoopi. I like Whoopi. I like the table. Like I do like the. I All right, girl. I like Whoopi and I like Sunny. I don't know the rest of the people. Like, let me not even try to pretend like I know what's going on outside of Whoopi and Sunny. I do like these two. But in fact, that they seem so reactive and defensive prevent them from actually asking meaningful questions, such as, do you think black people, black men, Hispanic people, Hispanic men and women, do you think they are where they are because of their own choices?
Well, I think by default that is his mindset, because if he's saying we need to be in a colorblind system, then he's saying, and focus on classism, then he's essentially saying that the people who are racially disenfranchised are disenfranchised based on their race, but the people who are in a economically disenfranchised position is because of their own accord, something that they are failing to do. So that I would assume that you can naturally assume that that is the standpoint he's coming from, if he wants to address economics rather than racism. That's his standpoint.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Like that's and I wish they would have asked him directly. Unfortunately, too many black men want something for nothing. Sin, it's worse than passive. It's subservience. I think, because like when I see interviewers this way, it makes me annoyed because it feels like you could have done more work. And like, even if you don't do the work, have your research team come up with the kinds of questions you need to ask. And in real time, sort of have a conversation with him and not just revert to your talking points. NA, thank you so much. So we don't have to do this. Let's go to this Christian man. Let's Let's go to this Christian man who was all up in and through Diddy's parties. So I don't know if I should skip to where he is doing the Diddy party thing, because this is long and I don't know how much time you have. It's like an hour long, so I can speed it up.
I do have the hour. I'm just editing this video in between, which I only have 3 minutes left of it, 3 to 4 minutes left of it, so I should be done soon. So I do have time. My attention will just be fully on the commentary instead of partially with this video that I'm editing.
All right, awesome. So the first half you can be partially in and out, because let me just say,
I used to listen to Lecrae though when I was a Christian. I used to listen to him.
Okay, good, because I don't know him.
Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
Good, because I don't know him. And they've been dragging him left, right, and center in the people who are against Christianity, and Christians have been defending him. Apparently, he was at Diddy's parties trying to save souls.
Wait, Christians are defending yet another so-called godly man that hangs around with a worldly man. Doesn't Christianity tell them that you don't need to be around people that you are unevenly yoked with? So him and P. Diddy would be unevenly yoked?
He said he
but
was at a
Christians don't follow their religion.
So no. Because he was even at a party and he said it was 1 o'clock or sometime, and I don't think this is the video he said it in, but like they were going at it and he went upstairs past the people going at it, and then there were more people going at it, and then he went up again, and then he decided that he had to leave. So by going at it, he does mean intercourse. It is good. And y'all think this man was there saving souls?
Right. And what hour was that at? Like you say 1 in the morning?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you're not saving souls at 1 a.m. You're not. You're not at a P Diddy party to save some souls. You're there so you can engage in some debauchery, all the while moonlighting as a Christian. But this is let me not even let me just save it, because we know how sensitive Christians are when you call out their blatant hypocrisy and the fact that
Right?
they
Just go
obviously
mute.
are a la carte Christians. So let me just go on mute.
Yeah, you can call me out every day because this is terrible to me. I feel like he about to say some Lecrae. Not only that, like let's get into it. Let's get into it now. Um, as a young Christian, I find it very hypocritical. I find it very sad. I'm extremely annoyed. And watching him come out now to talk about being at Diddy's party, I haven't watched this, right? I've watched probably a couple of minutes of it going back and forth throughout. So I haven't watched it through. Watching people come out, watching Lecrae specifically, who said he's a Christian rapper and all that foolishness, watching him come out now and say, yes, I've been to Diddy's party, but I've never done this and I've never done that, but I've seen some of these things happen. Girl, where were you before all of this came out, took out Diddy? Where were you to warn people about these parties? Where were you in the quote unquote godly spirit to help other people not get lost in the machine that is the music industry? I don't believe you. Your timing is suspect. And I believe he came out to talk about this because he was about to be outed. I think he thought he was about to be outed. And so he came out to confess that he was there. No one's going to convince me anything otherwise. That is my opinion. I don't have anything to prove it.
I think you're absolutely right, because he already saw that TD Jakes was outed multiple times. Like TD Jakes was even mentioned in the Lil Rod lawsuit. So I think he would too. He's trying to get ahead of the smoke by coming out and just saying that he was there, rather than allowing a lawsuit to come out and then his name be included in that lawsuit. I think he's doing exactly that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So let's get into this. I'm going to speed it up.
I'll go ahead and say it. I've been to a couple Diddy parties. Now, I'm risking a lot by saying this. My album number one independently, my own label. Maybe we should partner with a major label in order to make some of those things happen. And that's when I saw Behind the Curtain. Sign here, and we will give you the world. You're going to be a star. And so, is it coincidental that they died at 27? I remember the day Tupac died. I was like, no, he's in Cuba. Here's what a lot of people don't recognize. Most Christian labels.
Sorry, this is the intro where he's clipping, I think, a bunch of stuff. I didn't see this part. But going to a bunch of Diddy, a couple is wild. I feel like he was all up in them parties. You're not about to convince me. Anyway, you're saying I went to a
I want to know, as a Christian man, how was he invited to this Diddy party? Like, I can understand how TD Jakes would be, because TD Jakes is far more popular than him. TD Jakes has movies under his belt. It's been widely known that TD Jakes hang around a lot of celebrities. So it's understandable that TD Jakes will be tied into P. Diddy. I'm not in any way, shape, or form surprised by that. How he would get invited to a P. Diddy party, I need to know the backstory behind that, because you're not on TD Jakes' level.
Same. Not only, so like, there's a lady on the channel. I don't know if you know her. Her name is Alicia, right? If I were even, I think she's going to hate this, but if I were even thinking of hosting a party where people are going to be drinking and cursing and whatever, I would invite her. Because it's not because she would judge me, but I feel like she so fundamentally like believes, and like, I don't know, like there is something about her that would make me not want to disrespect the space that I'm going to have her occupy, right? The fact that they're so comfortable having you all up in there is a problem. Like, it is a problem. The fact that they're like, oh, okay, and you keep going back is wild to me. So let me just move on.
labels are arms that are owned by a major corporation or major label. Like,
this is the Deep End with Lecrae.
I started to get into some of these rooms, making some high-profile friends and seeing different types of contracts and just kind of like getting a peek behind the curtain. I experienced and heard from some pretty credible friends that showed me just how much hypocrisy there was in the industry. You see, I went into the industry thinking, hey, we're all Christians, right? We all operate by a higher standard. Like, yes, we have business interests, but over and above that, we hold these deeply Christian values that should govern how we do our business. And the deeper I got into the industry, the more I realized that that was just not always the case. As they say, business is business, don't take it personal, right? So I found a lot of the same kind of griminess in the contracts and the behavior that you hear about on the secular side carried through right to the Christian side. So you know those kind of contracts that hold like crazy amount of control over people, their name, their brand, their identity? Yes, that we've all heard about in the secular or mainstream industry. Similar things exist on the Christian side.
Managing expectations. My goodness. To recap, what I feel like he's saying is, hey, if I sign to this Christian label, I'm anticipating Christian principles to be employed in my contract. I shouldn't be signed to a 360 deal, or, you know, someone in the music industry who has a miscarriage and just gets let go because they can't do their job. And people...
Hold on. Not a Christian man sitting up letting us know that the Christian labels are ran by the same demonic people as the secular ones. Then shouldn't, based on Christianity, shouldn't you not be signing with those labels? Shouldn't you only be signing with labels that are ran by other Christians, not demonic secular corporations?
The fact that his posturing, as you just pointed out, is to say, how could you not know that that signing with a Christian label is not going to be different because they are ran by the other demonic entities, essentially, is what there is. It almost seemed like his posturing seemed to be in defense of, well, you should have known. There's still
like money. We should already know that. It's like, no, you're not supposed to be signing with them based on your own religion. You're not.
Exactly. So his position is wild to me. Like, it's wildly outrageous that a Christian man comes online complaining about Christian labels operating the same as secular labels, and you are like, oh, well, you should have known. That is rubbish. I would expect a Christian man to be completely in alignment with the man coming out here in disgust that these Christian labels are operating like the other label, taking advantage of people, using people, disregarding people, making them sign 360 deals. Like, how is your posturing? And I say that because I don't fully know. Maybe he goes back on this. But like, it's kind of wild. Like, you should be doing this. You shouldn't be saying this. You should not be agreeing and defending the label in this. Like, that's not what you should be doing. Lecrae was at the party with $10 a period. For the algorithm, Harrison and Themis will catch the replay. Thank you. Hey everyone, please remember I'm starting a new time on Wednesday. I might change it to Tuesday, but might not, because I think Sin goes live on Tuesday. So I'll keep it here. Just remember to like the video. It really, really helps. Thank you.
I understand the sentiment. I understand the frustration. I understand the pain, and I don't want to diminish that. But the issue I have, first of all, the first thing is when you start saying exposing dark secrets or the dark side, people get all mystical. And here's the thing, man. Satan is not dealt with like rituals and like dancing around fires. Satan deals in lies, and so to fight Satan, you deal in truth. So I think we get really like wrapped up in the spooky side of, you know, the demonic, instead of recognizing that the demonic's tactic is to deal in lies. He's called the father of lies for a reason. So we get real.
I am sure the Bible said we do not deal in flesh. We're dealing with principalities. If you believe fundamentally that there is a God and there's a devil, and the devil is in operation in the music industry, to be sitting here saying that, oh, thinking this is spiritual and some woo-woo foolishness is wild and nasty work. As a Christian man, it does not sound like you believe that this is spiritual, because the way you're dismissing the potential for spiritual attacks or warfare feels like you don't believe it. And I'm not saying you should, mind you, but it feels like if you believe there's a God and you believe there's a devil and the devil is in charge of the music industry, to think that they're doing some woo-woo thing in, as he put it, spooky thing in the industry.
Wasn't Lucifer, when he was an angel, wasn't he specifically the angel presiding over music and worship?
Yep. Yep.
So then obviously your music industry for humans would then be literally the same thing, because it says on earth as it is in heaven, right?
Yep.
So then as a Christian, you just would not be entering into the secular music industry, because you should automatically know that by doing so, you basically aligning yourself with Lucifer.
Yeah. And for him to be dismissing it and saying, oh, it's just about contract negotiation. No, people are literally talking about how disrespectful, disgusting, and how actual spiritual issues are happening in there. I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying if you're a kind of Christian who believe in heaven and hell, if you're a kind of Christian who believe in God and devil, if you're a kind of Christian who believe in the spiritual realm, for you to be sitting up here talking about this woo-woo foolishness is wild and nasty and diabolical work.
So I don't know if Sin is saying that's a reach in regards to what I said, but just in case you are, or if anybody think it's a reach, it's not a reach. There's been a ton of musicians and artists talking about the demonic rituals that they have to go through, the selling of the soul that they have to go through, the cannibalism that they have to go through to be even initiated, the sacrifices that they have to do to maintain being in the industry and to travel up levels. And I've read like a ton of books on how deep masonry is, how deep the Eastern stars are in the music industry. So no, it's not a religion. Oh, you said you don't believe in religion. Okay, yeah, that wasn't for you then. If this is only for the people who consider themselves Christians, because if you consider yourself a Christian like Lecrae does, then you should not, based on your Christianity, you shouldn't be anywhere near the music industry. You should not. But I get why you would say that if you're not religious. So
Yeah, right.
never mind.
I agreed with everything you just said, by the way. Not only do I agree with everything you just said, underscore that with they were just suing Jason Derulo for doing goat ritual and trying to get the women to go do this goat ritual with blood or whatever. So like people have been saying a lot of these things. Now, yeah, you can believe it or not believe it, but again, if you're a Christian, you're not about to sit here and say you don't believe it as a Christian. I'm not accepting that. So yeah.
Real spooky when it comes to the enemy, instead of spending so much time with the truth that we can recognize a lie as soon as we see one. I think there's this thought or this idea that because someone has the title, this is why I don't like the title Christian as an adjective. I think it's an amazing noun as it defines a human being. It's not a good adjective as it defines like a thing or a genre. And I know, I'm not saying I'm not a Christian artist. I'm not saying I don't do Christian music.
Of course he doesn't, because he doesn't want to be bound by it. This is a man who doesn't want to be bound by the terms of Christianity. It's like most Christians don't. This is why they'll rewrite the Bible, manipulate the word, twist it, do whatever they can with it so that they don't have to be held accountable. They're like, this is sickening, what he's saying.
It feels like I don't have to say anything, because period. Yeah. All right, good.
Different, just nightmare of a conversation. But what I'm saying is, when you call something a Christian music label, there's this idea about what Christianity looks like as an entity. Now, when I call a person a Christian, there are scriptural perspectives and things that I would hope this person is walking out and fleshing out, because that's what God calls him to do. And so I think a lot of times we're expecting these principles to be fleshed out with anything that has the moniker Christian over it.
Yes. If you call it a Christian label, we expect you to adhere to Christian principle. What is the problem with that? That is not a problem. That is what I would say.
That's because he doesn't. That's why he doesn't want it to be an adjective. It's the same thing with love, except love is an adjective and a verb, right? I think it's both. Yeah, it's an adjective and a verb. But a lot of people only want to stick to the adjective part of it so that they don't have to fulfill the requirements and the expectation of it being a verb. It's something that you do. You have to show it. So he is running from what most Black men run from, which is accountability and meeting an expectation. Nothing more, nothing less. He's simply doing the religious form of it. That's all he's doing.
Yep.
But there's no way to quantify that. Now, you can quantify if a person is a Christian, like, do they bear fruit? Do they have a situation or story where
You can quantify if an organization is operating on Christian principle. You can definitely do it. You can point out when the organization is not operating on Christian principles. What do you mean? If you're out here using and abusing people, that don't sound too Christian to me. So what do you mean you can't look at a label and see if it's operating under Christian values and principles? Yes, you can. I can look at the fruits these labels are bearing. What do you mean?
But even if you can't, you're supposed to be able to. And according to the Bible, you're supposed to be able to tell. Essentially, what he's saying is that you shouldn't be able to tell a Christian from a non-Christian, and we know that's not the case. You are supposed to be able to tell one from the other. Anyway, let me just go back on mute.
No, I'm with you. I am with you because this is out of order. Like, this is a very specific defense of the music industry, and he expects us to believe that he's a Christian person who is there to save souls. This is not saving souls. You're defending, you're putting up, you're using your Christianity as a wall against attack on the music industry that is demonic in a lot of people's mind.
they said, I have confessed that Jesus is my Savior, is my Lord? I cannot ask a shoe company like, well, is this really a Christian shoe? You know, is this really a Christian computer?
No. That is dumb. And this man must think we're dumb. This man must really think we're dumb. You think we're asking if the computer and the shoe are Christian computers and shoe, or do you think we're asking whether or not the principles being employed by the organization and the company, the entity, if you will, creating these products are operating with Christian values, i.e., are the people there Christian, and do they take care of people in the way that Christian would? Or do they engage in these toxic, degenerate practices that other organizations do in an attempt to meet their bottom profit margin? Who gonna sit there and ask, is this phone, is my telephone Christian? Go what? No one is asking that. To dismiss complaints by doing whatever he's doing right now is kind of ridiculous. And I did not see this part, but this is ridiculous. So we know where he's building. I believe I know where he's building up. He's building up to defending Diddy. I don't know that. I don't know that's what he's doing. But it feels like he's building up to defend his position at Diddy's part is.
I don't really know what this gentleman is actually saying is, I'm not seeing the fruit in the lives of the people who say they run a Christian entity. But here's the problem. Here's what a lot of people don't recognize. All right, so this thing right here is an album. I know it. You may not know what an album is. It's like a thing that plays records. A record, in order to listen, see you on the B-side. Most Christian labels, Sans Reach Records, and a few others, are just arms or branches or boutiques that are owned by a major corporation or major label.
And you don't think that's the problem? And you don't think that, all right, girl.
Like Sony or Universal or Warner, and they do not function by Christian principles. So by and large, that entity is not going to have to live up to those same principles to function. What they're going to have to do is they're going to have to provide the metrics necessary for their parent company to feel like they're worth.
That they shouldn't exist. If you can follow Christian principle because you're beholden to a larger mother company that is not Christian and all they care about is your bottom line, then you should not exist as a Christian entity under said mother company. What do you mean? If you have to compromise, you can't have two masters, girl. If you have to compromise, give unto Caesar what is Caesar. If you have to compromise Christian values to exist under another label, you shouldn't do it. What do you mean? It's very simple. 1 + 1 is 2.
But you know what, Themis? Literally, the Bible says you cannot serve two masters. You are not supposed to compromise your Christianity for worldly things. You're not supposed to. And getting a contract for a music deal in the secular owned industry is compromising your Christianity, which you're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And he's defending it by saying these Christian companies have to exist, and to exist they have to work. No, they don't. Through God, you'll find a way. Because ain't nobody gonna sit here and say, "Oh, this degenerate company is running a Christian company, but we just gonna get the Christian piece." Like, no. Watching the playback, so excuse me if it's poor timing, but I hope Friday we are reviewing this album. I know by this album you have to be talking about Beyonce. I know that much.
Continue to invest in. So if you're not producing the results, then this boutique or this arm of this parent company is not worth investing in. And so the idea or the thought that a lot of people have is that because everyone loves Jesus, that this should just be this genre should be invested in and taken care of and treated with such care. But the reality is, when you're dealing in our economic system, you're going to be dealing with the principles of the economic system. So once you get into business, now you're a part of the infrastructure of business. I've told this story before, and I'm gonna tell it again for anybody who hasn't heard it. The movie Ben-Hur was about a Jewish man who, entered into the chariot races that the Romans had brought about. As soon as he got involved in chariot races, he did away with all of the principles of his Jewish culture. The Jews said, "Oh no, you're not supposed to be riding in these chariot races. It's against our principles." The Romans said, "We don't abide by these principles, so we don't care." As soon as he started winning, the Jews said, "Oh, we like the fact that he's winning. Let's support him." Well, as soon as you start supporting him, it's no longer about your principles and your morals. You're a part of the empire now. You're trading your kingdom values for empire values. You can't get mad when the empire doesn't act like the kingdom, because it's a completely different infrastructure. Now, if myself, my business partner, who's also Christian, start a company, and we as individuals are not functioning in such a way that if we're functioning in a way that's contrary to scripture, you need to challenge us. But it's not like a dark secret of Reach Records. It's not a spooky thing. It's that, hey, these brothers probably need to be challenged in their work ethic. They need to be challenged in their ethics and their moral compass and their principles. And so,
what do you mean it's not a spiritual thing? If we're checking you as a Christian for operating outside of Christianity, of course it's a spiritual thing. What do you mean it's not a spiritual thing? I am so confused. Does this man believe or not believe in like God and the spiritual as a Christian? Like, to dismiss the spiritual as a Christian like this is wild, and it feels diabolical in the most obvious sense of the word. Like, it feels like he's intentionally trying to mislead people who are Christians. If you're not Christian, you don't believe anything about the spiritual or whatever, it's fine. I don't
think he's trying to mislead them. I think he's trying to speak to the mindset of Christians, knowing that they are the same, they think similarly, and therefore they won't hold him accountable, nor will they hold him to the standards of the Bible and Christianity. Because at the end of the day, all he had to do, his burden for being a Christian, was to say he'd accepted Jesus as his Lord and Savior. That's all they believe that they have to do. Everything else is a work in progress. Everything else is every saint had the past and every sinner had the future. And everything else is, okay, I just made a mistake and now I have to go repent. The only accountability they think they have to be held to is accepting Jesus as their Lord and Savior. So he already knows that all Christians, for the most part, think that way. So I don't even think he's trying to mislead how they think. This is literally this is why I separated myself from Christianity, because this is how they think.
Anyway, I know everyone wants a spooky story. I know everyone wants something sneaky, like, ooh. That's not to say that stuff doesn't exist, but I'm just saying the way that Satan often functions is through manipulation, through lies. And unfortunately, this guy right here got himself disappointed because the expectations he had was that these Christian labels are going to abide by biblical principles, when in fact, they're a business and they've got a quota to meet and they got a...
No, he is right. This man, if he said these companies weren't operating in Christian principles, and they weren't, he is right for expecting that they would have. And he is also right for coming out and complaining that they did not. You should be defending him and chastising the company for operating the way that it did. You can sit there and say, oh, he should have known better. No, you need to take it to the companies that claim to be Christian, producing Christian music, and you need to drag them, not him, for his ignorance. He is not ignorant. In fact, he is right. If he is Christian, wanting to do Christian music, and he goes to a Christian label and then find out that the Christian label is operating in the way of the world and taking advantage of people, he is right to be disappointed and mad and talking about it. And you, as his brother in Christ, should be in defense of him, not the company. What do you mean? This is disgusting. And that's why people do walk away from the church, because this is kind of ridiculous. Like, this is ridiculous. And you sitting up here as an authority defending the company and its willingness to make a profit to exist, as opposed to pointing out that the man who is complaining is right, is nasty and diabolical work. It is.
Answer to a parent company that doesn't care about the motives, about the morals. They're just like, hey, did you meet the quota? Because if you didn't, we don't have anything else to talk about. Your job's on the line. So that's the way that situation runs. Shall we keep watching? The music industry's darkest secret. Let's see if it's really that dark. I don't know.
Music is one of the few industries on the planet where someone's work is worth significantly more to a company after their passing. Generations are remembered by the art that they leave behind, and the easiest way to be remembered is to be hailed as a legend from that time period. A premature death can take an artist from a good artist to a legend, which can in some cases solidify an artist's recording catalog to be a cash cow for decades to come. Think about this for a moment. When an artist signs his name on the dotted line to a record company, the record company will in many cases own all of the masters for the songs recorded under that contract. And when an artist signs to a major label, it's safe to say that their death is in many ways factored into the initial investment. And in many ways, after an artist has peaked in popularity, there becomes an awkward point in their career where the artist is worth more to them dead than alive.
Let's be real. My uncle didn't die. He was murdered. I feel the same thing about Prince. These are basically insurance policies. Because we're not talking about $1 million, we're talking about billions of dollars. Notice that when my uncle dies, why do you hear all his music? The thought here is that artists are worth more dead than alive. And so once your career starts flailing, it's more beneficial to kill you. And then they talked about the 27 Club. Now check this out, y'all. 27, okay? The number 27. What's 9 times 3? 27. What's 9 minus 3?
I hate these dusty numerology fool. Sorry. I know there's a lot of people here who believe in numerology, and if you can show me like 6 and show me where the 6s are, then fine, right? If you can add one number to a bunch of numbers and get something, then fine. The moment you start adding, subtracting, dividing, and then multiplying all in one sequence, you've lost me. I promise you, math was not my strong suit actually, it was never my strong suit, period. So, like, you just gonna lose me, and I'm not gonna believe any of it. I'm literally, like, I don't want to, let me skip this. I'm skipping this. Let's see. Mystery of the 27. I'm skipping it. And I better get time for this.
For conspiracy. That's how this works, people. That's how it works. Okay? That's exactly how this works. You were bought in. Now, truthfully, 6 is a number, man, and in the scriptures, if you look at that number 666, or you see.
Wait, was he attempting to subvert expectation? Let me go back. Oh my God. Wait. It felt like he was attempting to subvert expectation. So he was about to say, look, 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is blah, 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 and then you buy in, and then he says, oh, see, you bought in, but I just made that up. No, we did not buy in. We're not idiots. Okay, let's play it. If that's what he did, if that is what he did, mind you, he is the most diabolical of them all. Because he is trying to get you in to defend his position and the sort of company's position. This is not someone to be trusted, mind you. I don't know this man. This man does not seem like someone to be trusted if he's about to do what I think he just did. So let's replay it.
Times 3, 27. What's 9 minus 3? 6. What is 6 in the Bible? It's the number of man. The number of man represents evil or pushing too far. When you look in the scriptures and you see that Solomon earned $666,000, what the Bible's trying to communicate to you is that he earned too much. And so is it coincidental that they die at 27 and 27 divided by 3 is 9 and 9 minus 3 is 6? Absolutely, it's coincidental. I just made all that up so that you guys will fall for a conspiracy. That's how this works, people. That's how it works.
I would say get off my screen, but I didn't plan another video. I did not plan another. Girl, nobody believed that. No one bought into that. No one cared about that. I don't know what you thought you were doing. That literally had nothing to do. The claim being made in the video he just watched, mind you, is that there are artists where they are more valuable when they are dead than when they are alive. Because when they die, people get to stream their music and use their music to get some kind of nostalgia. This, by the way, is very fundamentally true. This is true. This is a fact. That companies make a ton of money on certain artists when they are no longer with us. The fact that I literally just skipped this part and had to go back because you thought we, oh my God.
Okay, that's exactly how this works. You were bought in. Now, truthfully, 6 is a number of man, and in the scriptures, if you look at that number 666, or you see 6 over time, God is trying to communicate a message that they're doing too much. But this is how gullible we are. We are YouTube University students out here, people. Okay, listen, I know that there are things that happen behind closed doors in the music industry. I know them for a fact, but they're not happening because it's like some dark art taking place. They're happening because the God of this world,
They're not happening because there's some dark art. How do you know that? How can you make such a general statement? You're a Christian and you believe in the God and the devil and demons and all of that. You believe in that, and you're making an overt statement that there is no dark arts happening in the music industry. That's the Are you sure that's the statement you want to stand behind? I am not saying this is true, mind you. I'm saying as a Christian to make such a bold statement that in the music industry there's not a dark art, there's no dark art going on. That sentence is wild. Not saying it's true. I'm saying as a Christian.
Especially when he hanging out with P. Diddy over there. Because it's been speculated by many people that P. Diddy engages heavily in the dark arts. So it's really interesting that he's sitting up there saying that.
Right. Like, even if you say, I don't believe it, or I haven't seen it, or whatever, but to make such a declarative statement about it not happening is wild. I cheated in math. He can't get me. Right. Like, girl, I was definitely about to skip that. Electronic configuration to black men out of the home, period.
The prince and the power of the air is a liar. They're happening because we serve mammon, aka money. Money is a god to us, and we will stop at nothing to make sure we can get more money. The reason why artists are valuable dead is because someone figured it out. It's conventional wisdom, right? Wisdom is being able to manipulate regular realities for your benefit. That's literally, if you take a seminary class, you'll understand that's what wisdom is. So wisdom is recognizing that the sun comes up and goes down every day, and if you plant something in the ground and water it, photosynthesis occurs and growth happens. That's wisdom, right? So wisdom recognizes that, oh, shoot, this person has passed away. We're not going to get any more music from them. They signed this long-term contract. We can't squeeze them. We can't send them on tour. We can't figure out how to profit off of them. I got it. Let's create a whole ethos of them and their death and just make this like some memorial, because then we can continue benefiting off of their death.
And you don't think that's demonic? And you don't think I don't know if this is even true, but you don't think there's a possibility that a company potentially about to make billions off of an artist, or millions, hundreds of millions off of an artist, won't? You're saying there's no possibility that they would do something to that artist. Like, I'm not saying they did. I have no proof of this. But for him to be so declarative in his statements about what happens and doesn't happen is like, it feels disgusting, even just from a purely economic standpoint, not even spiritual. But if you're a Christian, you can't ignore the spirituals. To say we serve money and then pretend like there's nothing spiritual happening in the music industry is absolutely disgusting to me. Like, again, I am not saying this happens. I'm not even saying magic and all of that is real. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying if you're a Christian, you don't get to say it's not happening. That's what I'm saying. And as a Christian, I don't get to say it's not happening.
I know we'd all like to believe that. I remember the day Tupac died. I remember I was heartbroken. I was a kid and it crushed me. And I believed every conspiracy theory out there. Why? Because I didn't want him to be gone. I was like, no, he's in Cuba making music. Machiavelli, if you look at the M in the Machiavelli, that's Machiavelli, the Italian guy, he faked his death. So Tupac is not really dead and the autopsy's wrong. And just, you don't want him to be gone. But the reality is he's gone. You're not going to get any music from him. And you want to blame someone for that frustration and that hurt, right? So we need to blame someone. So listen, if the label knows there's money to be made off your death, you think they're not going to expose that? You think they're not going to figure out? These are not like morally sound people. These are not
I'm trying to figure out if he truly believed this, or, cognitive dissonance is the discomfort, right? And so I'm not sure if he's trying to deal with this discomfort about the nature of the organization or the nature of where he is. So the music industry, maybe he is outwardly dealing with the fact that maybe he's in an area, an art form, a business that is not great for him as a Christian. And this is his attempt at sort of justifying his existence there by denying the spiritual reality of what they do in spiritual reality from a Christian perspective of what they do in the industry. Because this is wild to me. This feels evil, by the way. So they just put Masonic symbols in so many artists' video photo shoots, have declared witches at parties for nothing. The math not mathing, Papa G. Right? Like, it's not. Like, there's this lady, I think she's Russian, but don't quote me on that, doing like spirit cooking. And like the fact that, like, I'm not saying it's real. Again, I'm not going to stop. I am not prefacing anything that I say by saying I'm not saying it's real ever again for this video. But for him to be up here, like, denying its existence in the way that he is denying it feels evil. I'm not saying he is evil, but it could also be his cognitive dissonance and him trying to grapple with that discomfort.
People sitting in the office somewhere like, nah, that wouldn't be right. No, they're sitting there thinking, how can I get more market share? How can I make this company thrive more? And I know because I sat in these meetings. They're ruthless. It's Wall Street up in there. It's just about money, 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 money. How can I get the next amount of money? How can I push my career forward? And if I come up with a bright idea after Tupac or Michael Jackson dies or Amy Winehouse dies to squeeze that, repackage that, make it into some memorial type of project, and I get paid off of it, boom, I'm getting promoted. I'm brilliant. Like, I can tell you a gazillion stories of individuals who really had nothing to do with the music project at all. Like, someone else had an idea to release a song from someone who passed away, and some random A&R got credit for it, and now his career takes off. He literally did nothing. But I'm telling you, any industry, it's not just the music industry, any industry that is consumed with money making and manipulation is going to stop at nothing to squeeze it and make sure that the money comes into the hand. And here's the other thing you got to understand about the music industry. The reason why it's so dark, when I say dark, I mean like obviously and blatantly worldly, like anti-biblical.
Sin 7 saying you're gonna be put on timeout for this comment. You really gonna be put on timeout for this comment because girl,
in every sense. The reason why it's so dark is because it's an art form where people are expressing all of themselves on a consistent basis. They don't hide. So music is where you put it all out there and you're rewarded for it, right? You can actually say, I think God sucks in a song, and people, if they like it, they celebrate it. No other genre gets away with doing, no other like type of industry really gets away with doing that. Even Hollywood isn't that dark. Like, they'll create films and they'll be dark and say some crazy stuff, but they can always blame it on that's the character. That's not me. When they get in their interviews, they're not like, yeah, man, that's how I feel. When they do that type of stuff, they're like the rebels. Like, you're Johnny Depp. You put it all out there. Charlie Sheen, crazy. But in the music industry, we said it already. We said what we want to do in the bedroom. We said what we wanted to do. We said it. So we put ourselves out there and we get rewarded for it. So why wouldn't I just keep pushing the limit? Why wouldn't I just keep pushing that? If you're going to reward me for being anti-godly and anti-biblical, I'm going to keep that agenda going. And that is how Satan works, ladies and gentlemen. Pure manipulation, pure lying, pure like putting on airs as if you're something that you're not in order to get more acclaim, more fame, more everything. The real drug is fame. We'll talk about that later. Let's check out another video.
If there's money, everything can be bought. Views, streams, Grammys, and even first week sales. All of those can be bought. Let's say we don't want a Grammy right now, but we want to increase our views as well as our Spotify streams. Well, what if I told you there was a way of doing so? This is a farm. This is not your average type of farm. This is what we call a stream farm. Streaming farms are services made to mimic a person listening to a song hundreds of times.
Oh yeah, stream farms are absolutely real. And here's the thing. It's like, you got to realize, again, I see why they're like, oh, the evil side of the rapping. It's the evil side of every industry. People are going to cheat. Like, how did all those kids get into college that weren't supposed to be there? Remember that whole thing that went down back in the day when like parents were getting, but that's why I don't compete. I'm not in competition with the world. I'm trying to win them. I'm not trying to beat them. I'm not competing, because if you play these stupid games, you win stupid prizes. What do you want at the end of your life? You want to play all these games and compete and cheat and lie and steal and diminish your character and sear your conscience.
He's annoying me. How did you make me confused? Bullet magnet. Ain't money the root of all, the love of money, the root of all evil? Dude really sold his soul and wanted money. Look, I don't want to. No, let me leave that alone. I'm not going to respond to that. Stars above the Emerald Forest said the quickest trick the devil ever played was convincing the world he doesn't exist. And this man don't believe he exists. And I don't know why he. We'll get to it.
So that you can die and stand before God with a whole bunch of stuff that you earned while you're on earth and say, oh, shoot, I had to give all that up. And now you're the least in the kingdom if you make it in at all. Right? That's not what I want. I don't want to stand before God and be like, yo, I was killing it down there for those like 40 years. Yeah, but now I got to live 1 billion years knowing that I could have used that short amount of time to do some amazing things and transform my whole eternity. You know, I love, there was an illustration that's been given a million times where it's like, if your life is a rope, if eternity is a rope, your life is like an inch of that 3-yard rope or whatever. And everything you do in this first little 3 yards impacts the entire rest of the rope. So for me, I'm like, why participate in this type of stuff? Now it's tempting because we're all tempted to want to be seen, want to matter, want to have a shortcut. True story. I'm gonna tell you a true story. I'm trying not to incriminate anybody, but I had a friend. This particular friend of mine was a career criminal. I remember talking to him about some of the crazy stuff he was doing. We used to run scams together back in the day, okay, before I, found the Lord and transformed my life. So we ran these little scams, swipe scams, mail scams, silly stuff, right, to make money as teenagers, as kids. And he got way more sophisticated with it because, of course, I found Jesus at 19, and he just kept getting more and more sophisticated with the scams as time went on. And as we, I remember probably around, I don't know, 2011, 2012, I just moved to Atlanta, and his scams had gotten so advanced, like he was sitting on, he could instantly get 200 grand like that in a blink of an eye. And I remember, he was like, he offered me $150,000 because I see what you're trying to do with your career, blah, 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 blah.
So when we started, someone said he sounded like a scammer. I don't know who said it, but if I can find you, I might give you a prize or something. Because someone said he sounded like a scammer, and he's admitting that he was a scammer. And they're like, no, actually, never mind. Because I feel like y'all probably say everyone is a scammer. Rox will say it was me. No, I feel like I'll just say everyone is a scammer. So maybe it wasn't that actually. I'm gonna move on for now.
Blah blah. And man, I'm just give you 150K, man. So get your stuff going. Like that was super tempting to me because at that moment in time, like I hadn't seen that kind of money, like not in one swoop. Like I was like, oh my gosh. But I knew I couldn't play by those games. I knew that if God wanted me to have that money, he would find a righteous and legal way for me to have that money. And I at the end of the day, not to say I'm perfect, but I'm just telling you the temptation was there. Like
his friend offered him 150K for goodwill, and he was all up and through the Diddy's parties. Actually, no. I'm gonna take that insinuation back. No, that's not right. Because if your friend is your friend, why the 150K though is wild. Just say here's 150K to go start your life. That feels like a lot. I feel I'm going to remove my insinuations.
Be for anybody. And some people would have fell to that temptation. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'll fall into other things, but not that one. I didn't want to be sitting in court with a RICO case.
Didn't I tell you, Famous, it's the Christian mantra, we're not perfect, we're a work in progress. That's essentially what he's saying. He's given the I'm a work in progress excuse. You're muted, Themis. You're on mute.
Thank you. Yeah, like the thing is, I don't remember what I was saying. I was responding to that. Yes, I know he was about to say we're all a work in progress, but I also want to hear him get to the Diddy part. I wish I knew where the Diddy party was to skip there, because while this is fascinating and I do actually like responding to this, which is fine, I want to get to the Diddy party because I want to hear his excuse. Because I did not hear his excuse in these clips. And I need to hear why he kept going back to Diddy party. That's what I want to hear.
Down the line, I am financially sound, and I get a call from his attorney asking me to pay his attorney fees because he's been arrested, and he's going to have to spend some time in the feds. The point I'm just making is this. That's the nature of things. You're going to want to find a quick way to get ahead. You're going to want to try to find a hustle or some kind of way to make yourself move forward. So it's not just the music industry, it's the world, y'all. Someone around you trying to cheat to get ahead. It might be you. You might be stealing somebody's Netflix account right now. I don't know. We're all trying to find a way to get ahead, and God is like, listen, the first will be last, last will be first. Let's keep it going.
But over the decades, record deals have turned into something sinister. On the surface, all the public sees is the money, the fame, the cars, the jewelry. But on the inside, the industry is something completely different. Sophisticated contracts are designed to suck all the money out of an artist, while they slave away as dead slaves to the label. And let's face it, most artists dedicate their lives to the pursuit of music, which means they're probably poor and probably not very educated. And on top of that, they have that idealistic drive to spread their art, impact their fans, get rich and famous to prove all their haters wrong, which means while you're screwing them over, they're gonna work harder than ever for you. And the best part, thanks to the celebrity culture in America, there is an endless supply of them.
Oh man, that's so true. I hate that. I hate that, and I'm always talking to my kids about that. You know, I'm always helping them to understand, like, everyone is fame chasing, and a lot of us, you know, we are prey for corporations in, you know, the music business, music industry. You know, and I say this as a label owner. I say this as an executive. I say this as somebody who has signed other artists. I never want to prey on anybody. That's never been my objective. That's never been my desire. Never been my goal. I got young artists who, you know, they don't have formal educations and they don't royalty statements are because this. Here's the other thing that I hate. I grew up in a time period where rap music was exploiting the pain. It wasn't exploiting it. When I was a kid, it was expressing the pain of broken families, broken environments, right? It was expressing that pain. We had songs that expressed, you know, Tupac's Brenda's Got a Baby. So bad about this. I'm just going to keep doing it so that I don't have to think about it anymore. Or I feel bad about what I did last night, so I'm going to get drunk to forget about or do drugs or, you know, on and on. But the point is, he wants you to keep falling deeper and deeper into that hole. And how I saw it personally happen to me was when my album went #1, there was a bidding war for me, right? From major labels. My album went #1 independently, my own label, Reach Records, took Anomaly #1. Now, we thought it went #1. Are we being a good steward? Are we taking care of my album and my project in the best way possible? Could we do more? Should I have collabs I don't have? Should I be on television shows I'm not on? Maybe we should partner with a major label in order to make some of those things happen. And that's when I saw behind the curtain. Now, again, it wasn't mystical or magical. It was pure, unadulterated lies and manipulation.
Again, the fact that he keeps downplaying the mystical and the magical is wild to me. To say people are being taken into these labels, being used, abused, and discarded, signing contracts, giving up their life, being wage slaves in the most overt way. And to then say, oh, it's not mystical or magical, it's not that, it's just bad contract, is disgusting. And I don't mean that if you tell me this, I would be mad at you. I'm saying if you say you're a Christian who believes in a heaven and a hell, God and a Lucifer in some ways, then I don't expect you to be sitting up here talking about it's not demonic. Like, I'm literally, like, it feels like he doesn't believe in the spiritual realm. Someone said this is the ramblings of a Diddy party goer. Yeah, and he's doing all of this, mind you. I don't care what anyone says. This is all a build-up. I don't know why, to go to why he was at a Diddy's party. This is all a build. No one's going to convince me because this is a lot.
Has he explained? Yeah, it doesn't sound like he's explained at all why he's at a Diddy party. He just has not.
Yeah.
He hasn't.
So.
Say selling your soul to the devil, it wasn't as if like someone opened up a door and had a contract and said sign it in blood and you will be taken care of for the rest of your life. What it was people coming to me making me promises the same way Satan made promises to Jesus when he was tempted in the desert for 40 after fasting for 40 days. People said, we want to make you the biggest star the world has ever seen. If Kanye can get so big with Jesus Walks, why can't Lecrae be even bigger? I remember talking to one particular label, they had a superstar artist on the label, superstar. And I just asked them a question. I said, how would you make sure people play my music on the radio? Because, you know, people don't want to hear a Christian talk about Jesus on the radio. How can you even ensure that would happen? He said, because I'm going to tell them if they want to hear this effing big star, if they want the first record from this effing big star, they got to play that Lecrae record. You play the Lecrae record or you don't get the big star coming to do your radio show. That's how we work this system. And I was like, okay, I see how this works. It's leverage. It's leverage. But it wasn't as if someone offered me a contract saying sign here and Satan will own your soul. It was them saying sign here and we will give you the world. We're going to make your dreams come true. You're going to be a star. Now, thank God I wasn't like emotionally insecure, at least not to the degree of a lot of young, other inexperienced 20-year-olds. I was a little more stable. And I knew when somebody was just like gassing me up and just trying to make me feel like, oh my gosh, you're so special.
Yo, I agree. Whatever they're going to accuse, whatever he's responding to with the Diddy thing, I'm going to just assume he did it. I'm just going to assume he did it. Whenever someone come out and, because this is a lot. This is just a lot of denying the existence of how demonic the music industry is. Like, there's a lot of denying.
You're amazing. You can do all these things. And I mean, that's the manipulation. And so I didn't bite the bait. you know.
Hey V, I don't know if I welcomed you. I didn't see your comments. Welcome.
I bit some other baits because I thought that I was guarded in some other ways, and I wasn't. But in terms of, I'm grateful I didn't sign a traditional record deal. I did a partnership. I was able to get out of that partnership by the grace of God. And it wasn't because, it was satanic or anything along those lines. It was because at the end of the day, I realized, okay, as a Christian label, we have a value and an ethic. As a major label, no major label has the same value and ethic that we have. And so we're always going to butt heads when it comes to some particular things.
As a Christian label, you have values and ethics, and you're going to butt head with others if they want to influence. Why were you mad at the first man who was mad that the Christian label he was signed to did not have this kind of ethic? Why? If you say you are a Christian label, in the beginning you said, I don't like Christian being used as a descriptor for a label. What is Christian? Is it the cup? Is it the shoe? Is it the computer? How can you make this Christian? While now you're saying you have a Christian label and you follow a certain ethic, but you were upset with this man for coming out and saying that his Christian label, or the label he was signed to that was supposed to be Christian, was exploitative and disgusting. Like, you don't see how this is hypocritical? Definitely cutting this and that and then shoving them together because, yeah, no.
We're going to bet on something that they're not going to bet on. I'm going to be willing to do this charity event for a church that's not going to pay you, and you're going to be like, that doesn't pay us. Why are you doing that? You need to be doing this thing right here that puts money in our pocket.
Wait, do you think he's trying to wear us up before he gets to the Diddy party thing?
I actually think he's trying to give us word salad so that he doesn't have to. If he just engages in all this word salad and say a bunch of nothing, people will eventually forget that he hasn't told us why he was even at a Diddy's party. How did he get invited? Because I'm sure Diddy don't just have an open free-for-all party where anybody can just show up. I'm pretty sure this is by invite only. So I just want to know how he got invited to anything that P. Diddy was doing.
All right. Because, yeah, that's what.
And we're going to butt heads. And so, it's kind of like it didn't make sense for me long term. But as it pertains to signing a deal with the devil, that's for all intents and purposes how it works. It's not a hoofed animal that's going to come out of a back room and say, all right, let's cut the throat of this goat and sign here. And for the Lamborghini's waiting downstairs. I mean, if that happens, that's weird and creepy and just strange. But typically, that's not how Satan functions. He's a little too clever for that. All right. Check this out. The devil's puppets in the music industry. Ooh, spooky.
Their gift for you, and it's right here in this little circular thing. What do we have for little Uzi?
It's my father, the Pale Emperor.
Yes, he is.
Listen here. At age 27, I will leave this earth for this man right here. He's the Pale Emperor.
Now, Marilyn Manson, he inspired your grills?
Yeah, oh, that's crazy. They're my old ones. Like, damn, man.
Listen, now, here's what I do know. For all of my talk of like trying to help people understand the reality of Satanology or demonology, what I do know is that evil is the second most intelligent force in the universe, right? God and goodness is the most intelligent, most powerful force in the universe. But Satan, demons, Lucifer, the prince and the power of this world, like there's real power there. I'm not going to play with that. You play with fire, you're going to get burned. And like the Marilyn Mansons, the Lil Uzi Vert, whose name, if you say it fast, is Lucifer. A lot of people don't catch that, Lucifer. Like, to me, y'all, they're mere mortals playing with fire, right? And I don't know their motive. It could be just attention. It could be sincerity, like trying to follow what they believe is satanic. But the thing is that Satan doesn't have a temple like the way that I think these folks are creating it. Like the world, in a sense, is his domain. He's the prince and the power of this world. Like it's a broken planet, and he's all over the place causing chaos and havoc. Like you don't have to go into a room and bow down to him. All you have to do is hate your neighbor. All you got to do is lie or steal or kill, and you are operating in the realm of the demonic or the satanic. So to me, them even trying to pledge allegiance in some kind of way is just outright ridiculousness to me.
So he doesn't see the blatant contradiction when you were saying it's not spiritual, it's not this, it's not that, but now you're saying it's satanic to lie and steal or whatever. Then the first part of this video where you were saying none of this, the lying, the scheming, the tricking people, the using people, the abusing people that happen in the industry isn't spiritual or spooky, but now lying and mistreating your neighbor is. Like, you don't, charlatans, all of them. Not all of them, but this is giving that.
It's like, it's stupid. If I'm being honest, like now you're playing with a pit bull. You're playing with a lion in a sense. Like, why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, why are you getting in the, you know, he bites. You've seen him tear people up. You know, he does not have your good intentions in mind. Like, you know, every blessing he has comes with a curse attached to it. Why would you get in the ring with him? And so for me, I'm like, those are the folks, like, I pray for him. I'm not here to condemn them. I'm here to, like, I pity them. I feel bad. Like, how can, if Jesus can sit and look upon a group of people who are clear.
It's blunt.
I found it. Here it is. All right.
You ain't see the blanket roll, or you go take this drink right here. And you like, hold on, bro. Listen, homie, I ain't with that. And some dudes get drunk. Like, I've been in studios with artists, famous artists, and I seen take a bottle that wasn't theirs, and they in the studio all woozy. I'm out. I don't know what happened to that person after, but that shit is, you know, it's like trying to get a chick drunk who want to pop. Right? So,
all right. I wasn't even gonna say nothing about this, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I've been to a couple Diddy parties. Now, I'm risking a lot by saying this because I know as soon as I say that, all the assumptions are going to come in and if I don't say evil things were taking place, then I'm covering for them. And if I do say evil things were taking place, then I'm one of them ones like, yeah, Lecrae, expose it. You know what I'm saying? And I've been to lots of parties. I've been to Jamie Foxx. I've been with Snoop, T.I. Like, I've been to lots of places. Here's what I'll say. There are people who will test you. There are people who will see how far your limits are. And if you're willing to take a step, then they'll take two. I, in my personal experience, never saw anything where someone was like, you can't move any further unless you do X, Y, or Z. But what I did see was, if you do X, Y, or Z, well, keep coming because you're, you know, and that's how we all are. It's Psalm 1, right?
Oh, don't speak in codes. If you say there are people who then you've never seen someone say, we're not gonna let you go and be successful or whatever if you don't do this, right? But you have seen people say, if you do this, we will let you go do that. You're telling me those are different? You expect me to believe the people who offered someone to do something to get ahead are willing to let them get ahead if they don't do the things they ask them? That's what you think I should believe. And in a Christian, man, you can't name names. You can't name names. You can't do anything. Can't say anything. You are just now talking about it. Did you go and help those people? Did you help those people?
Yeah, he's essentially trying to protect Diddy more than he's willing to uphold the religious instructions coming from his so-called God, because didn't they say the Bible is the word of God? So therefore, the Bible would then be the religious instructions given to Christians by God. He's willing to ignore those in protection of P. Diddy, which would either imply that he's more in line with P. Diddy and what P. Diddy got going on, or he fears P. Diddy more than he fears his God, apparently.
Exactly. Not only do it sounds like he feared Diddy more than he feared God, he wants to be in their proximity, and thus he will let all of that happen in his presence without doing anything about it. Because he said he went to a couple. So for him to say, like, I think it's wild to come out here and say, I have never seen someone's career being stopped by them declining to do something, but I've seen someone offer an advance in your career or advance if you did this thing. That is wild to me. That's like, I don't know how he did that mental gymnastic to get to where he got to, but that is wild. You want to go see Sodom and Gomorrah in real time. Like, who? I can't. This is not funny, but it's, oh my God. Let me go back. I need to get all of this.
Then I'm one And then one's like, yeah, Lecrae, expose it. You know what I'm saying? And I've been to lots of parties. I've been to Jamie Foxx. I've been with Snoop, T.I. Like, I've been to lots of places. Here's what I'll say. There are people who will test you. There are people who will see how far your limits are. And if you're willing to take a step, then they'll take two. I, in my personal experience, never saw anything where someone was like, you can't move any further unless you do X, Y, or Z. But what I did see was, if you do X, Y, or Z, well, keep coming, because you're, and that's how we all are. It's Psalm 1.
That is not how we all are. I don't use my position to get people to acquiesce to my whim and then prevent them from upward mobility if they decline my advances. That is not how we all are. You're justifying foolishness. And then you're going to go to Psalm 1 to justify your foolishness. You're going to go in the Bible to justify the fact that people are in Hollywood being abused. If you tell someone who is desperate and in need that for them to advance, if they want to move on, if they do this thing that they wouldn't normally do, then they would advance. That is an abuse of power. What do you mean you've never seen someone prevented from upward mobility because they didn't do something, but they were offered things that they could do if they wanted to move up? They're the same thing. Do not play the semantic game with me. This is diabolical. Like, how you sit up there justifying your own foolishness? Oh my God.
Right? He says, blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, who does not stand.
Okay, blessed is the man that doesn't walk in the counsel of the wicked. So not you. Not you. Because you were all through and through Diddy's parties. You said you witnessed people being offered things in order to move their career up. Is it not the counsel of the wicked? It's not that I'm shocked. I am disgusted that he thinks we're dumb enough to sit up here and pretend like what he's doing is not degenerate also.
In the way of sinners, who does not sit in the seat of mockers. You start walking, they gonna walk with you, and now you find yourself standing. They like, oh, you stand? Well, if you stand, come sit. Now, next thing you know, you're sitting. And so it was never a situation where I felt forced to sit. It wasn't situations where I was asked, do you stand? Do you stand? And I'm like, I don't stand. Oh, okay, cool. And then I was left alone.
So you're just going to use metaphors this entire time, not admit to anything. Got it. So people were trying you and you don't think they were trying other people?
It's like, oh, he's not about that life. He's not with it. I'm leaving him alone. And this is what I'll say, and I won't say whose party I was at or what party, but this is a crazy situation, right? I was at one of these parties, and for me, I'll be honest, it was a mix of work, because this is oftentimes.
You were at this party, but it's a mix of work. It's absolutely, you weren't working. I tried him how? He's not about to tell us. He's not about to tell us because he doesn't want to own any of this. Talking about he's never seen anyone's career being prohibited in some way. That's how I'm interpreting what he said, because they didn't do anything. But he's seen people being offered things to advance them if they did something. That is a wild, nasty, disgusting statement that I don't know how he put it together. I don't know how he created that distinction. These are powerful people abusing their power. Imagine someone offering to advance your career when you literally have nothing, might even be homeless, don't know anything. And it's like, You are in the face of powerful people pressuring you into engage into degenerate behavior in order to move your career upwards. And this man is out here pretending like this is not pressure. Because he's not with it. Because he could say no, then everyone could say no. And if you didn't say no, then it's your fault for being a victim.
Where you go to connect with people, where you go to meet people. And I have met people here and I have built bonds, and they have said, I have met actors and celebrities who said, man, thank you for being here. I needed your presence here. You're the reason why I know God is walking with me. And
He lying. He lying. I believe he's lying. No big actor was like, oh, we're at this degenerate party doing degenerate things, engaging in degenerate behavior. But you, right here, Mr. Godly Man, you are the one who changed my life. I'm glad you are here in all your spirit. The cloak of protection is on you. I'm glad you are here and you made me feel comfortable and I can see your walk with God. I would describe the scene that I am seeing with him being there, leading in people's mind to God, evangelizing in a bathhouse. Well, I mean, you can. I just don't believe him. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't believe him. Talking about he went there to save souls. Girl, where?
And we've had conversations since where they're like, man, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Because how you going to be a light if you never in the dark? Now, if you cannot handle being in the dark, stay up out of certain places, right? Don't play tug of war by yourself. I never went to these events by myself. I was always with people who were walking in the light, and we always had a mission. It was never just to go in there and wild out and be stupid. But the other side of the coin is, yes, if I'm a human, so I'm frail. I'm gonna be honest with you. There was moments for me of like, oh my gosh, I'm here. I'm part of the crew. Like, look at me. Yes, I struggle with acceptance and wanting to be associated with greatness. And I got caught up in some of that nonsense.
And then you're not a Christian. Not that you shouldn't struggle, but if you're saying this is greatness, being among Diddy, that is not a struggle that you go through. This is you wanting to be accepted in Hollywood. And you were willing to go to multiple parties where a bunch of degenerate foolishness was happening because you wanted to be accepted. Talking about you are a man and you fall short of the glory of God. No, you wanted to be accepted. You're still covering for Hollywood, mind you, in this video. As a Christian man talking about, yeah, I wanted to be with greatness. Greatness is God. That is it for you, for us. I wanted to be among greatness. The greatest of them all would be God. That is it. There's nothing more. What do you mean you wanted to be among greatness? This is wild to me. The fact that this is a defense, talking about he is evangelizing.
Internally, right? But you would have never known that. What I will say is that one particular party, lots of big names, there was an artist there who said, hey, Lecrae, around 1 a.m., make sure you're not here. And I was like, what? You just don't want to be here at 1 in the morning. And I was like, now my pride kicked in, like, yo, you don't know me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can handle myself. Like, I'm not some little church boy who ain't never seen nothing. Like, I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what you talking about? Well,
someone came to you and said, Lecrae, at 1 o'clock, please don't be here. And you bossed up and said, I'm a man, I can be here. Well, they saw you were a man and they were looking out for you. At any point did you ask why? You expecting me? I'm at a party and someone came to me and say, Demas, please leave before 1. You don't want to be here before after 1. my very next question is, wait, what do you mean? What's happening at one? And they're going to tell you what's happening at one. Are they going to they're going to imply you're going to know what's happening at one, girl. You're not about to tell me you didn't know what was happening at one, is what I'm saying. You're not about to sit here and tell me someone came to you at Diddy's party. Well, you didn't say Diddy, but girl, you were at someone's party, and someone there came up to you and said, "Hey, don't be there at 1 o'clock." And you gonna tell me you didn't know what was going to happen at 1? All right, girl. Period.
It's probably 12:30. I'm downstairs. I go downstairs to the studio. I come up out the studio, and I'm headed back upstairs to like the main area where everyone's kind of congregating and hanging out. And the music changed. It was like really hard and heavy at first, and then like jam and dancing music. It was a little softer. It was a little more sensual when I came out the studio and started going upstairs. And on my way upstairs, there's like this couch. I won't say how the couch is designed because then that may give away whose party and whose house this was. There was a couch, and on the couch, I saw a couple of guys really going at it hard and heavy. And man, and I was like, oh, my brain, I'm thinking, well, the celebrity party, people do what they do.
You're at a party as a Christian man, and you saw a bunch of men on a couch doing whatever you say they're doing. And you're like, oh, well, it's a celebrity party. Ha ha ha. Like, yo, yeah, this is wild. This is absolutely wild. This is no, you don't leave immediately. You don't get the person in charge of the party to end this. You're like, oh, it's a celebrity party, so you know what? I am here. I I don't know if Sin is there. You're muted if you're talking, Sin.
I am here. I was just writing something, but so that's why I've been a little quiet. I have like a deadline to turn something in, and it needs to be a written response. And so I was basically just completing the written response that I have to submit today.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Thank you. I'm not a Christian, but I do know that negative entities can use people like this man is being used, pretending to be a Christian to cover the evil he saw it does in the industry. That's what, like, I literally don't get it. Thank you, by the way. Who was that? Mistress Monica, thank you. Sitting up here, this man said, let me go back. This man said he saw a bunch of men on a couch going at it. And as a Christian man, he's like, well, it is a celebrity party. It is nasty work. Let me go back.
Changed. It was like really hard and heavy at first, and then like jam and dancing music. It was a little softer. It was a little more sensual when I came out the studio and started going upstairs. And on my way upstairs, there's like this couch. I won't say how the couch is designed because then that may give away whose party and whose house this was. There was a couch, and on the couch, I saw a couple of guys really going at it hard and heavy. And man, and I was like, oh, my brain, I'm thinking, well, the celebrity party, people do what they do. As I started moving upstairs, I passed them up, and I noticed that it wasn't just those two guys. It was more and more people just going at it. I was like, okay, it's time for me to roll. I'm going to grab my stuff and I'm going to get up out of here. I did not know that's how this went down. So was that shocking? Absolutely. Was I forced or coerced into anything? I was not. But why they felt that comfortable, I don't know. Maybe the invite list, they was like, yeah, all these people. I don't know. I'm shocked that it went down. But I've been to another situation, another person's party, celebrity party, And, you know, a celebrity tapped me on my shoulder and I was hanging out with them. And it was like, yo, nephew, you might want to go into the other party because this cabana, we about to close it up. And they closed up the cabana, and there was about 3 or 4 big name artists in there. And a whole bunch of ladies start walking in that cabana, and a security guard stood in front of the door. Hey, they didn't coerce me. They didn't ask me to come in. And everybody said, you probably should not be in this cabana. You probably just want to go back out there with the cocktails and the hanging out and the hobnobbing. And shout out to my guy Brandon T. Jackson, man. Brandon T.
As a Christian man, you thought this was okay. Like, you continued at the party. You didn't try to stop it. You didn't do anything about it. You just continued with your life as if this is fine. This is fine. Like, it doesn't even sound like you were trying to change minds and hearts. It didn't feel like, at no point here did you point out that you were trying to lead anyone to Jesus. I think this man has been swallowed. I'm late, but I'll catch the replay. Ain't no replay. There ain't no.
You know he's been swallowed. Him and TD Jakes. He been swallowed up all.
Yo, I feel like there's something coming down the pipeline about him. And maybe there won't be, but I feel like he's just admitting upfront that, yes, I was there when when these things were happening. I feel like he's just saying, I was there, I didn't take part in it. Because I'm sure there's someone there that saw him and thought, isn't that the like gospel rapper? Why is he at this event where we're all doing, where men are going at it on the couch? I bet there's some videos with him at the girl. Anyway, so actually let me play. Let me see what else he says.
Jackson, you know, I don't know what he's up to these days, but at this particular party, Brandon T came up to me and he said, yo, man, like Satan will steal your soul in this industry, bro. And he was really like, I loved the fact that he felt like, he's like, I love your soul and your spirit, and I want you to thrive, Cray. I don't want you to get devoured out here. And I just appreciated that.
Someone came to him and said they didn't want him to get swallowed up. By the way, he is representing to us the image of him now that he wants, right? In our mind, he's trying to implant the idea that he was so innocent to the point where people who were in the industry saw him and they were saying, look, we need to take care of you. You are a gem. You're untouched. You're not solid. Even though you came to these parties, you didn't engage so you can be saved. And that's the message he wants us to get from this story. That's not the message I'm taking away. The message I'm taking away is that you sat at a party where people were going at it, men were going at it on a on a couch, and you stayed and watched that, and then went upstairs and then came back down. That you were at a party getting cocktails while there was a whole thing going on where women were getting used up in, well, let me not, maybe they wanted to do it. There was things happening in a cabana that was happening right there next to you in the party. And you, a Christian man, was able to be out there talking to people, drinking and having fun while all that debauchery was going on. That's the story I got. Now, if some random man came up to you and told you you were such a good soul, you're a pure diamond that needed to be out here and away from all of this stuff before you get dragged into it and swallowed up, I don't believe you. It is that simple. I do not believe you. I have more respect for Corinne Stephens. At least she told all, barring names. So if she suddenly unalive herself, like all these who wind up passing after associating, there were threads to put. Yeah. No. The thing is, I don't believe his story. I can tell there are lies. As bad as you are, you stick around. And I just don't know why. As bad as it was on that couch, you stuck around, and I don't know why. He knew better than to even be there. I don't believe it. The stammering, the stuttering, or yeah, I believe. Look, I cannot say he did anything or didn't do anything. What I can say, what I can say is I don't believe him. You, as a Christian man, you watched people go at it and you were just there thinking, oh, this is a celebrity party, you gotta do what you gotta do when in Rome. Like what is happening? You expect devoured and swallowed. This man that did his party getting devoured and swallowed up. Mistress Monica, you enter. Ivan says he's lying. He got here. No, nope, not doing that. Not doing that. At least he was there, and that is enough. That man said Lecrae is in the building. Kim K for a period. It sounds like a casting couch to me. Sounds like it to me. NA says, at which point, with all the cracking, did he look? I want to know what the word was. What word did you give to them?
Because for him, he was like, he had seen some detriments and some of the dark side of things, and he was like, yo, I want you to be taken care of. So I say all that to say, like, I never felt like it was some secret occult or secret like thing. I felt like there were areas at certain places that were like, hey, this could be the cocaine room. You know, I don't know. This could be the boom boom room. I don't know. But I never ventured into those places. You know, that wasn't my thing. And
what do you mean you never ventured into those places? You were literally removed from the cabana where they were doing what you said they were doing. You were literally in the room with the couch where they were going at it. What do you mean you never ventured into those places? You were literally in those places, girl. You were in the. What do you mean you never ventured? I'm stressed. I'm so stressed. I'm so stressed. Girl, you were in them places. What do you mean? You were literally. You said you came up and you were in there, and on the couch they were going at it. You said you were in the cabana. They kicked you out, and then they went at it. What do you mean you were not in the places where they were going at it? You were literally in the parties where they were going. You went to this party knowingly multiple times where they were going at it. I don't know if that's true. Allegedly. Girl, you better hope there's no camera. You better. Y'all better hope there was no camera. Anyway, is there anything else?
And when I felt like something was moving to a level past where my witness or my like conscience would be messed with, I'm out of there. It's not for.
So your witness and conscience weren't messed with. Women in the cabana, and it wasn't messed with when you came in and the men were going at it on the guy. Like I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about. Because you stayed when you saw what you saw.
For me. But somebody gotta be in these places and spaces, right? Like somebody gotta be there, you know, to be, you know, in these environments. Now I'm not saying somebody gotta be at the strip club or don't misconstrue my words. What I'm saying is someone has to be in environments where people congregate and you can get to know them and you can build relationships. You know what I'm saying? These were not like, it's not just.
Yeah, what is this man talking about? People got to be aware. You're like, oh, don't misconstrue me. I'm not saying they have to be at the strip club, but they can go to orgy parties. Where do people got to be to make connections, girl? What are you talking about? People got to be aware. Which people? I'm assuming you mean Christians. Christians got to be at Diddy's parties. That's where y'all are converting souls at Diddy's parties. Origin story: failure to be swallowed. This video is a declaration to his wife that he is innocent. Hold it down. Look, this is wild. I hope his wife is like, look, tell me what happened. Just go ahead and tell me what happened before I'm embarrassed when it comes out. Note to all submission is out. Note to y'all, submission is out. Devoured, swallowed it is. Period. I want to read the tell from the pastor. He repented to after recording this whole lot, right? Anyway, let's finish it.
Wild and people hanging from the ceilings everywhere. It's really just people hanging around by the pool, talking, having conversations. Some people dancing, some people walking. You know, oh, what's up, Jimmy Iovine? What's up, Madonna? Chris Brown? How y'all doing? You know, you talking. You have a whole conversation. You can share your whole testimony standing next to somebody by Jamie Foxx's.
Did you share your whole testimony? And what do you mean nothing weird is happening? People are just talking. Did you say you went up into the living room area where there's a couch and people were going at it on the couch? Why are you trying to pretend like you didn't just explain what happened at these parties? I'm trying to figure out why you thought we forgot what you said happened at these parties. You just told us what is happening at these parties, and now you're telling us, oh, nothing is happening. We're just saying hello, my testimony. Well, you're giving your testimony to the people on the couch and in the cabana. I feel like a lot of these people think we're dumb. I'm convinced a lot of these. I want to read the tell-all from the pastor. Oh, I read this. Thank you, Mayor. Mona says, somebody has to be at the party to lay hands. Somebody got to be there to get let me stop.
Pool. You know what I'm saying? So, again, it wasn't one of those situations where it was crazy. And I've been to tons of these industry events, like tons of them. So it's, what do you want to get yourself into? You know, if you want to get in trouble, you can.
No, sir. What do you want to get yourself into? What are you getting into? That's what we're asking. We didn't know. I'm not in the industry. I'm never getting invited to these parties. We're asking you what you've been doing, what you have done. That's what we're asking. He's trying to get ahead of something, and him thinking this is believable is insanely awkward. Yeah. Like, he's talking about being at a party with people going at it. Him already being at that party, he knows it's incriminating. And him staying at the party is wild. Like, that is wild to me. Like, even if you say, oh, I went to a party once and then this happened, so I left immediately and I never went back. That makes sense. But you were at multiple parties where multiple of these things happen, with girls in the cabana, with celebrities in the cabana, with men on a couch. Like, these are different parties that you're going to where these things are happening. And then at the end, you're telling us, oh, nothing really happened. We were just there networking. Go, what? There was something happening there. You told us what was happening there. He had to anoint the strawberry. I'm not reading that. I am not reading that.
But I don't feel like my career. And yes, sure, I probably could have found some way to finesse it for my career if I really was trying. But it's like, is that what you really want? Do you want to get yourself intertwined with the deeds of darkness and Satan, and now you gotta
why are you asking? This rhetorical device is a problem for me. Why are you asking us? Do we want to? We're asking you what you did. You intertwined yourself with the demonic. Like, so you just think it's fine to be at a party where there's just like all this kind of energy there and people are just doing all that as a Christian. Just and you were just there drinking and talking and laughing and networking. You want to network with the people who would go to these parties. That's what you're telling me. That makes sense to you. When you thought through, I'm going to continue to go to these parties where people engage in this kind of behavior. And I want to network with them because I want to be able to work with them. Girl, why are you asking us about what we're getting wrapped up in? You're the one getting swallowed up, girl. You're the one getting devoured. Tell us what you're doing. Don't ask us what we want to get wrapped up in. Tell us what you've been doing.
He's getting swallowed up in debauchery despite being a Christian man. I just don't understand why anybody takes Christianity seriously when Christians don't even take it serious. And we see that with this man who seems to be, because he appears to have like a gleam in his eye as he talks about his association with Diddy, the multiple celebrities that he's met, secular celebrities, mind you, that he really shouldn't even be associating with. Because if it's one thing about Christianity, is that they are very insistent on you not associating with so-called non-believers and people who don't walk in the faith, which none of these celebrities that he mentioned none of them would fall under those categories, because at the end of the day, all of them are secular. Diddy's over there having drugged out sex parties that Lecrae is attending, but he's supposed to be a Christian.
Yeah. So I don't know, because I don't evangelize at all. And I don't try to change people's mind. People gonna believe what they believe. I know what I believe, but watching this, like I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you on this, because I don't see how we are taken seriously as Christian. I actually don't, because a lot of the time people are going to say, well, we're humans and humans are flawed. But I don't agree that you can use human as are flawed when the pastor is sleeping with young boys, when the pastor is cheating with men, when the pastor is cheating at all. I feel like saying we are flawed is dismissive, it lacks accountability. And every time I hear it, I get really annoyed. Of course, we're flawed. That is no defense to what you do. I am flawed, but I'm not out here stealing. You know, I am flawed, but I'm not conning people, taking their money and then buying private jets with it as a pastor. I am flawed, but I'm not at Diddy's sex parties. And so, like, I understand that, and this is why it's so difficult. Like, I would never take on the role of like evangelizing, like trying to convert people at all, because it feels really, really distasteful for me to sit there and not own the kind of hypocrisy that exists, the way in which we cherry pick the parts of the Bible that we want to live up to, and then dismiss it as soon as it runs in conflict with our fun. And this man right here, for me, is a charlatan. I am not saying he is in fact. I'm saying, for my opinion, he's a charlatan. You're not about to sit there and convince me that you were at these parties where these things were happening and you were a Christian and you're just like, oh yeah, but I didn't do it. But I just stayed around to make connection. And then I went back and then I went back and I went to multiple Diddy party. But not only did I go to multiple Diddy party, I went to multiple other celebrity party. And these things were happening at these celebrity parties.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. It's you're playing in people's face telling them that you went to multiple celebrity parties, especially knowing what Diddy's parties are known for, and that you didn't eventually partake in the debauchery that happens at those parties. But there's a difference between being flawed and purposely and willingly and repeatedly going against the basically going against the instructions and principles that's set forth by your God in your belief system. So this isn't an issue of him just being a flawed human being. All humans, regardless to whether they subscribe to religion, are flawed. I don't think that it's even possible for humans to not be flawed. So I think that the Bible and any religion already gives leeway and grace for people to be flawed. But when you're willingly and purposely engaging in behavior that you already know is against your belief system, against your God's instructions, hanging around with, associating with, and mingling with people that you already know, behavior, way of life goes against what you are supposed to go against as a Christian, that's not you being flawed. That's you running around pretending to be a Christian for whatever benefit you think you can get out of it while living a complete life of sin and debauchery. And that's what most Christians do. That's literally what most Christians do. Like, they'll suck dick all days of the week. They'll be out literally on the host roll, having hot girl summers, engaging in full promiscuity and fornication, but then go to church on Sunday and be sitting right in the front talking about they're sanctified, saved, and holy. It's like extremely reprehensible and extremely hypocrisy. This is why I don't associate with it. Because if I know I'm not going to follow the Bible, which I already know I'm not going to. I knew as a teenager I wasn't going to. Me and my mom would get into arguments because I wasn't going to wait till marriage to have sex. I thought it was stupid. You should be more focused on who you love rather than who you marry. And I knew at a young age that you can marry a person for any reason. Love doesn't have to be one of them. So the bottom line of it is, if I know I'm not going to follow that word, then I'm not going to run around and say that I'm a believer, that I'm a Christian, and I'm definitely not going to be casting judgment on other people, which is something that Christians often do as well. The bottom line is, it's very difficult to tell the difference between a Christian and a non-Christian. And if you can tell the difference between them, it's usually the Christian involved engaging in more ways than the non-Christian. And that's literally just what it is at the end of the day.
You're out of line.
No, because I'm tired of them with this whole, we're just a work in progress. Oh, nobody's perfect. We're all flawed. Okay, what standard are you supposed to live by, though? Because you're not supposed to be running around here as flawed as all the other flawed humans. There's supposed to be a noticeable distinction between a Christian and a non-Christian, yet there isn't one. There isn't one. And this is why Christians, especially Black Christians, have a horrible reputation. There's nowhere that you can go where people are just going to speak kindly about Christians. No. Before you think a Christian is compassionate and kind, you would think a Christian is aggressive, judgmental, and evil. That's literally how they act. They act that way all day, every day. There's not one of them that I can think of who has not been consistently engaging in worldly desires and pleasures. They do it all the time. And then they want to sit up and their only excuse is, oh, we're flawed. Oh, we're a work in progress. Oh, the Bible doesn't require you to be perfect. There's a far jump between perfect and what y'all are doing. And there's middle ground that you should consider too. Nobody's saying that you should be perfect, but we're saying that if you are going to be a Christian, if you are going to say that you are a godly person, then it should show in your behavior and your mindset, and it doesn't with Christians. And this is the vast majority of them. There's very few Christians whose behavior and mindset is consistent with biblical principles. But then the Bible is so contradictory that you actually can engage in deplorable behavior and justify it by some scripture or some book of the Bible. And that's just the reality of it. And with that, I'm gonna go back on mute.
So, oh my God, this is kind of esoteric, and I don't like the what I'm about to say. I agree with you, well, I guess fully, because you said some and most. And I actually agree that it's most. And beyond most, I think it's the overwhelming majority. um, there are people that I have met, and I know people who are anti-Christian hate this, but I am a Christian, so I'm going to preach my word. There are people that I've met, even here on YouTube. There are two people in particular. I won't say their name because I saw one of them in the chat, and I feel like there's a heavy burden that I'm putting on this person and her husband. So, like, I'm not going to do it. It's too late. But when they speak, there's a kind of kindness and grace that I don't think one can learn. And it's very rare. It is very rare that I see that. But in truth, I've seen it in people who weren't Christians. So I don't know if I will liken that to Christianity, but I do remember, I do know there are people who are like, when I see them, I think this is what it means to be a Christian. But then I've met people like that who weren't Christians. So maybe it's not Christianity. So yeah. What do his comments say? I'm curious if his subs will. Oh, that's actually important. That's a good point.
But that's what I was going to say, though, as because I'm not a Christian, but in the majority of but to the majority, I believe that the way in which I live my life is more consistent with biblical principles or what they should be than your average Christian. And we even see it like in these social spaces like all around social media, how many Christians sit up here and defend sexual abuse against a child as long as the abuser is a black man. They'll sit up here and defend all forms of evil. They'll judge people, attack people in comment sections, cuss people out, use foul language, engage in arguments, which doesn't the Bible say that you should not be engaging in idle chatter, which means that you shouldn't be trolling no comment section, you shouldn't be arguing with nobody, but they don't follow it. All they have, and then when you attempt to hold them accountable, all they have for you is that nobody's perfect. It's like, really, that's your response? You really think somebody's asking you to be perfect?
Right. It is a way to escape responsibility. Completely with you. Completely with you. Like, I hate when Eddie Long went up there and said no one is perfect after sleeping with men in his church, allegedly. I just sat there like, girl, and y'all sitting here believing y'all are cool with this. Y'all are all right. All right. Sounds like y'all are good with this. Nobody's perfect. Work. Nobody's perfect. I gotta work it. Hannah Montana. All right. What do his comments? I'm curious.
You a whole pastor sleeping with every woman in the congregation.
Yep.
Now, you don't need to be perfect to know that you should not be, especially when you're married, because the Bible is very much against adultery. But you have a lot of these pastors. What is that one pastor who's basically known for committing adultery whenever he wants to? Just community dick, slinging dick through the church and the community whenever he wants to. There's multiple pastors who are known for that. And then the only response we have is when we're like, okay, there go the Christian man. Why is he engaging in this behavior? And the only answer y'all got for me is every saint had the past and every sinner had the future. Really? It's like, how am I supposed to tell the difference between you as a Christian and Satan's minions?
Agreed. Which is funny because the statement isn't incorrect. It's just not a defense. Like, everyone has a past and like, yeah, we get it, but yeah, he's doing this willingly. Like, are we gonna ignore that he's doing this willingly? Like, all right, girl, period. I picture him sitting on a bench like Forrest Gump with feather floating around, but instead of waiting for the bus, he's waiting to be. No, I'm gonna read two of the comments in the after show. Mistress Monica says, he's the storyteller that they let live to tell a version of what happened, then tell us there's nothing evil because he don't want to get yeah, talking about there's nothing evil. For how fellowship can light have with darkness? Sin, you're not wrong, but the point is not everyone who claims to follow Christ does so in the face of what they have in place of God. But the point is not.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Belief is different than spiritually bypassing to exonerate and absolve yourself from the wickedness committed against self and spreading it through the human condition. It's very different than spiritually bypassing. Spiritually bypassing what? I think you missed the word. Belief is very different. Oh, okay, hold on. Sorry. Sorry. There was just a huge bumblebee that like flew by me, and the fact that it's so big, it kind of just caught me off guard. But sorry about that. I'm trying to understand what's being said here.
Let me read in. Belief is very different than spirituality. Spiritually bypassing to exonerate and absolve yourself from the wickedness committed against self and spreading it through the human condition. So I belief is different than spiritually bypassing to a. All right, I think
what? Like,
yeah,
what are you bypassing?
I think she's saying your belief is different than like making excuses for engaging or like looking past certain kinds of things happening around you. I'm not sure UG Rose. You don't have to send a super chat again, but if you write it in the comments, I will find it. Ivy, I just added you. Sorry about that. Thank you for the reminder.
Oh, but V wanted to get on the Discord too. Sorry, I'm over here thinking about bypassing. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Can you I'll send it to you and then you'll let her know. I'll send it to her. You know,
I just feel like Christians don't even try to be good people. I really feel like they don't try to be good people because at the end of the day, they can hide behind saying that they are Christian. That's number one. And number two, they can hide behind saying that they're not perfect or they're a work in progress. So I think that they don't even try to stand for anything. No moral integrity at all, it seems.
I'm a believer in sin is speaking the heart. I'm a believer too, and I agree. I think the way we show up, instead of telling people to do something, well, maybe this is the way I convert people. I want to show up in a way that makes people want to know what I have, which is like, oh, I believe this way. So like, I want you to address me and ask me. I will never force my belief down your throat. But, and this came from when I would talk to a pastor of mine. I said, wait, so people who are like in faraway country who's never heard about God, are they going to go to hell? And he told me, and I never looked this up, he told me they won't because they don't know. And you will not be condemned for your ignorance if you've never heard. And then I thought, wait, so the reason a lot of people gonna go to hell is because we told them about it. So if I don't tell them about it, they're fine. Sorry, that was my logic, and there's some part of my brain that still holds it. All right, let's read two of the comments and then end in the after show because that was wild. When I found that out, I was like, I would never volunteer information to people to condemn them. Someone said hell is actually, we're not going to go back and forth on this because most of my life I've been afraid of hell. So if you say it's not real, I promise you there's no way you're going to convince me it's not real. There is no possible way you're going to convince me it's not real. For me, it's real. So that's just that on that. All right, so here's
What's interesting thing is I never feared hell. I never did. I never feared that I was going to go to hell.
But really? Okay, maybe the way they teach the Bible in Jamaica, is different, and maybe Baptists are very specific. I won't speak for all Baptists, but in Jamaica, because the book of Revelation was my favorite book in the Bible because that's the only book I knew for most of my life.
Yeah,
That
I actually dreamed about the book of Revelation. So that's how kind of well I knew it. But I mean, we were required to like memorize certain Bible verses and things like that. Like my mom was really big on Christianity. She was like huge on it. So we were going to church like multiple times during the week. And I would just notice how Christians operated the opposite of how they were supposed to. I've always noticed it.
yeah. No, I mean, yeah. To be fair, my favorite thing in Jamaica when I went to church was the gossip and the disrespect and the messiness that happened with the older church women. The church ladies in the church were like, I felt like they need a TV show. I actually do. Because I used to watch them talk mess about each other, their clothes, fight for seating to be in front of the pastor, which now I don't know if the pastor did any like thing with these women, but it felt like there was a competition to be seen by the pastor. Girl, it was a mess. It was a hot ghetto mess, and I loved every minute of it. Um, so two people in the comments said, "You have a great spirit, such a light. Wow. Ever since I saw Madonna doing satanic ritual in her concert, blah blah blah, I have been struggling to understand all that. I'm old school." All right, so this person is praising Lecrae. See, they're defending him. I stumbled across your channel and
Black
decided to
man
give it.
is he's a
Huh?
black man, therefore he can do no wrong.
Yeah, because they're like actually, here's one I think. Risking a lot, man. Your walk has been compromised a good while back. All right, good. This is attending a couple of parties is only evidence of your compromise. You went off the rocker a good while back, all the time claiming otherwise. Partaking in sinful things is not being light in darkness. It's only showing the darkness that crept in your heart, and for any and all who is living along. At least one person is dropped dragging. Sorry, my friend. Satan does expect ritual and sacrifice and blood, wolves in sheep clothing. All right, there's when I went initially, they were all praising him. So it's good to see him getting dragged.
Don't the Bible talk about the astronomical amount of false prophets, which I interpret to mean fake Christians that would be within the Christian religion? So, I mean, ultimately, I feel like that's what we're dealing with. Either Christianity is truly a demonic religion, or it's mostly comprised of these false prophets, i.e., fake Christians, who live by the way of the devil but claim to be godly. And so we're dealing with either one or two of those things, and Lecrae is definitely part of it.
Yeah. God bless you, Lecrae. This is amazing content. Yeah, I don't understand people. He's speaking facts. Black. He's gone preach. Watch it. Dude, I just tried to comment and phone whatever. Blah blah blah. Where do you stand, Lecrae? Because yeah. All right. So it looks like there is a back and forth. There's some people saying this is weird and wrong, and then some people praising him. All right, good. It's more for balance now. When you camp near Sodom. All right, good. I love this. Whoever told me to go back to the comments, thank you so very much. Um, I stopped believing in hell when someone made a logical point and asked, would I try to throw gasoline on a ghost and light it on fire if it was chasing me? And I said no, realizing you can't burn a spirit. The conception of hell, I think, differs, right? So if you've read Dante's Inferno, I think, and the different layers, oh my God, I don't want to do this. So I don't believe hell is like a fiery pit in the like overt way that is described in the book of Revelation, right? And to the extent that I did, I believe that there was going to be a resurrection for all humankind, and that they just would not die, but will be burning in hell. My conception of hell is very different now, where it can be spiritual and you reliving bad moments, or depending, like there's a sort of gradation of sin and punishment. But I don't have a way to prove it. I've just been reading a lot about what hell could potentially look like. And I feel like it's a wild punishment to be in pain and be punished for eternity, for a very specific and limited and short time that you've lived on earth. I don't think there's anything you can do on earth that could warrant you being punished forever.
Here's
So
my question though. Most Christians do not know the location of hell or what it looks like. So how do they know we're not already in hell? We could already be in hell for all they know.
I mean, it's true. I mean, this could all be a simulation. By the way, it's Inferno, but it's generally called Dante's Inferno. In any case, I don't want that to, like, I don't preach on here. I might do some more private live stream where I talk about my own faith, but it's really complicated. Like the idea that God is omnipresent. We've done this. Omniscient and like all powerful, all knowing, and all everywhere, um, messes with my ideas around, particularly all knowing, messes with my idea of agency and whether or not we have free will, which we've already spoken about. But it do give hell down here. Like and like, oh my God, there's an esoteric belief about, you just said as in heaven, so on earth. That's what you said earlier, right?
Yeah, in heaven as it is on earth.
Yeah, there is a esoteric as above, so below statement around sort of kind of in some ways, this is about making our own heaven and our own hell, and seeing heaven as mental. I don't want to use nirvana because that's like also Buddhist, but it's reaching a kind of peace while you're here, while hell is giving into your flesh and being and hell is being in our flesh and constantly craving and trying to fill a void that will never be filled. It's the hunger for fame and money and everything else, and never ever feeling fulfilled or that you've reached something. And so I don't want to say I've adopted that, but I try my best to not be like in that space of hell on here. So I'm usually content with where I am. Anyway, no one cares. But I conceptualize hell as an actual place that I don't know correct sin, but I also conceptualize hell as a state of being, which is low vibrational.
I think it's a state of being too, because look at how miserable people are. Look at how so many people are depressed. A lot of people are self-toe tagging. So it's like if hell is depicted as a miserable place where you wouldn't be happy and that you would essentially spend eternity being miserable, how then could we not say that we're not already in hell? I think like for Christians, they need the fire in order to believe that they in hell. But I don't know. This is sounding real hellish to me.
I can help deprogram you from the fear fell. Please, Mistress Monica, would love that. I think you're a member. We'll do a live stream probably next week, membership, and you should come up and talk because I would love that. Someone said before we go, I wanted to read this. So let's judge all these people by Epstein. Let's judge all white people by Miley Ray Cyrus, and let's judge all Muslim by Bin Laden. My only problem is your absolute terms and absolute no data. For me, I think you're talking to sin. But I did agree with Sin about the overwhelming majority of Christians. I have never been in a predominantly Christian space where I felt like it was warm and good. I've met people in those spaces who are Christians who are good, but as a large sort of my reference point is anecdotal, but I can also do historical evidence about crimes against humanity, about the justification of slavery, for example, about dehumanizing people using the Bible, being about women and the subjugation of women, used where we use the Bible to justify patriarchy in this way and misogyny. I can also point out that in contemporary society, and an analysis of media highlights that a lot of people who profess to be Christian don't actually walk in this way. And so it does feel like, for me being a Christian, I can take issue with the religion as it is practiced by individuals not adhering to the principles, without juxtaposing it against other religion, because I don't need to say what about in an effort to hold accountable the people closest to me in my own religion. So that's how I view it.
But I feel like that's a remedial perspective anyway. But since a person feels as though it's incorrect to say that the vast majority of Christians behave in a manner that's more consistent with evil than good, then why don't that person just provide evidence to the contrary? If you could I'll even give you one better. Then it should be very easy for you as a person to give us one example of how Christianity has bettered humanity and how they interact with each other. Because if you can do that, if you can give an example of how Christianity has made people better, made them more moral, made them kinder to people based on Christianity, then you can just disprove everything. If you cannot, then you have no argument. And most people cannot give you one example of how Christianity has bettered humanity. They can't give one.
I think the fear of hell has caused a lot of. Apparently, no one but me fears hell. Never mind. I think I'm the only one who fears hell, apparently. But yeah, I mean, I am not looking to answer your question because, again, I don't push my beliefs, but I do worry that we cannot take critique around Christianity, which is also unfortunate.
But
I
here's
feel
the
like
thing. Somebody in the comments said they don't think any religion has better humanity. This is a deflection and it doesn't apply because most people in this country are Christians. So I don't know why you would bring up other religions as a rebuttal to what Christianity has or has not done when it's literally irrelevant to this discussion and is irrelevant to the majority of the people in this country. And because at the end of the day, the majority of people are Christians. So it doesn't matter. Christianity is on the table. We're asking about how Christianity, which is the belief system of the majority of people in this country, how has it benefited humanity? Like, how has it bettered or helped humanity? You're only saying that because you can't give an example at the end of the day.
so. I was about to. Someone said that it's on Christian values that we found uh, the U.S. And I was like, oh, because that Salem witch trial, the slaves, Jim Crow. Like, I'm sorry, I can't accept it. But maybe we should wait net good versus net bad, net positive versus net negative. I feel like that's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to wait. As a net positive, has Christianity been a net positive? Someone said the colonization, right? And forcing people into your religion. Let's let this one go for now. I feel like we should found at LOL. Right? Tell the natives. Tell the natives. I don't know. I mean, slavery is definitely not a sin, but how you treat your slaves could be, because there were rules about how you should treat your slaves. It's in left. So I mean, we're done. I'm done with y'all. I am so done. Found is wild. Sorry, I'm getting a headache. Thank you all. This was a lot more intense of a discussion than I thought, because I just wanted to hear what this man had to say with Diddy. And he took us all around the jungle and the forest to figure out what it is that he wanted. I want to say thank you to Sin. Her Cash App is at the bottom. She's on Patreon for those who do not know. Someone dropped the Patreon link. Thank you guys so much. Do y'all drop a 1 if you want me to continue to do live stream on Wednesdays, or wait, 1 for Tuesday and a 2 for Wednesday. So drop a 1 for Wednesday. I should just do a vote. I might just do a vote Friday. Sin is better to help deprogram you from the fear of hell. I will follow up with references. Just let us know and I will get my docs together. If you can get it together, can you message me or let me know on Friday? And then I'll set up a live stream, maybe Monday, just members only. And we'll just, you and I, or whoever want to engage, it's just going to be members. We'll do it, because I actually would love to do that. Well, not that you were going to deprogram me necessarily, but that I would like to try. Because, like, I promise you, the fear of hell has cost me a lot. Wait, it's overwhelmingly people asking for Wednesday. That's nice. All right. Not 1 and 3. I probably need to go get into the Discord. Let me go talk to the Discord. I need to talk to Level Up Single Mom. Let me go in the Discord and I'll talk to the. Is there anything I need to talk about? I'm gonna be in the Discord. I have to work, so I'll be in the Discord while I work. All right. Bye, everyone. Sin, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You made it a lot easier for me. But I'll talk to you all later. Bye. See you Friday. We have a great show Friday. I can't let you know what it is, but yeah.